leadership team here in front. Thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you, Ms. Irving and the EdTech team, as always, for setting us up in this great facility here. We are at Cook School with our Cardinals, and we have had a pre-board presentation from the crew. We'll have some great things to talk about, but first things first, I hope you'll all rise and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. That brings us to roll call. Dr. Campbell-Boytel.
Yes. President Lindsay Wilson.
I'm here.
Treasurer Lisa McIntyre. Here. Trustee James Mazurek.
Here.
Trustee Karen Meyer. Here. Trustee Melissa Stewart. Here. Vice President Sarah Prescott can't be with us tonight, and I am Kimberly Campbell-Boytel, the Secretary.
Thank you so much for that. That brings us to number 4 on our agenda, the adoption of our agenda. Dr. Campbell-Boytel, would you do the honors, please?
Yes. This is motion 106, that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Support. So I have a motion properly presented by Dr. Campbell-Boytel and supported by Mr. Mazurek. Do we need any discussion on our agenda for the evening? Thank you so much. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you so much. That brings us to number 5 on our agenda. That would be our consent resolution. So for folks in the building with us tonight, these are items that we have discussed in previous board meetings or that we have discussed in subcommittees. We usually have pretty fruitful, robust discussion around these items, and there's no need in this meeting tonight to discuss them further. So I will again turn it over to Dr. Campbell-Boytel, if you do the honors, please.
Yes. This is motion 107, that the board accept the consent agenda items for approval as read. 5A, minutes of May 9th, 2023 Board of Ed meeting. 5B, minutes of the May 9th closed session meeting of the Board of Ed. 5C, overnight and/or out-of-state field trip requests for 5C1 NHS HOSA International Conference in Dallas, Texas, from June 20th through 25th, 2023. 5D, the auditor recommendations provided for us by Plant Moran. 5E, donation to Cook School. Notice of a donation to Cook School from Mitsubishi Electric America Foundation totaling $13,497.50. 5F, we are tabling 5F for tonight, and it will be added to a future agenda. 5G, transportation building water main easement agreement between Northville Public Schools and the City of Northville. And 5H, Taylor School Cooperative Agreement for MEAT, which is the Michigan Institute of Aeronautics and Technology Program.
Support.
So I have a motion properly presented by Dr. Campbell-Boytel and supported by Ms. McIntyre that the board adopt the consent agenda as amended and as read. Do we need any discussion on this item?
President, I just wanted to make a quick comment about G and just thank the leadership team again for making sure that we provide a variety of students. I'm very excited that we're able to collaborate with Taylor School so that we can be part of the MEA program. So I just wanted to point that out and thank them again for making sure our students have a variety of learning opportunities that fit their needs.
And a special thank you to Mitsubishi Electric. It is not unusual for corporations who work in our city to engage with students and make special donations to Cook because of just how important and how unique this place is. And so we really do thank the corporations that go out of their way and give significant amounts of money to help out. So thank you, Mitsubishi Electric.
Thank you. Any other comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the motion passes. Thank you so much for that. That brings us to number 6 on our agenda, our communications. Dr. Campbell-Boytel.
You get to hear a lot
right.
from me in the beginning. Okay. We have received communications through two channels. One is the NPSBOE at northvilleschools.org channel, and we also have received the Northville Youth Network monthly program report for April.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. That brings us to number 7, our superintendent's report. Dr. R.J. Weber.
All right, we're gonna have some fun tonight. I'm actually right now gonna ask, let's see if we can get Cole, Liam, and David up to the podium up there with me really quick. I trail my own tech team because they know me. All right, how we doing? And you are?
Cole Davis, Liam Howell, David Christensen.
Come on over so the board can see and whatnot. So gentlemen, from what I understand, now are you a team? Yeah. So what I understand is you are first place. I didn't know that you were old enough to buy and trade in stocks. Does the SEC know this? Mr. Zoff, we have a situation on our hands. Wait, maybe it wasn't real in the money world, but you all won, right? So who would like to go ahead and take us through this a little bit to explain to the board and community the accomplishment? And I think I see some proud people maybe to your right. Principal Cuddell, would you like to come over here a second? I know you don't want to, but I think it's good. There we are. So I'm going to have you, young man, go ahead and tell us what you won and how you won it.
So we bought our stocks low and sold them high.
All right, that's it. People pay tons of money to go get the States and degrees and whatnot. We've got it here in our elementary in Ammerman. There it is. Got it. You just thank you. So what any stocks that, go ahead, pass it down, but any stocks that really did well that just you might want to give a little pro tip for us?
Chipotle did really
Did
good. Yeah.
Oh, was that your big winner?
No.
No, what was the biggest one that really took off?
Cool.
What was the stock that did the best?
I forget it.
That's all right. That's all right. The only thing you won, right? And
Oh,
you
wait,
made a lot
now I
of money.
remember it.
Go.
Carvana.
Really?
Yeah.
Carvana?
Uh-huh.
Wow. So how did you guys choose your stocks? Like, what was your team's strategy? Was there a dartboard involved? Did you do some research?
No, we just
Research?
picked them.
That
Oh, we
is
like.
Awesome. I'm gonna a little bit to rub off on me though. Well, thank you for representing us so well. I know your parents are super proud of you. I know your principal is super proud of you. And Ms. Cuddell, if you could just talk a little bit about the competition and how it was set up.
So I'm going to say a little that I'm actually going to turn it over to Mrs. Tiba because she actually has been running this thing. She's one of our 5th grade teachers. She's been running this thing for a few years. And just a little shout out to Mrs. Tiba. She does this because it brings her joy. She does this for fun on her own time after school. I actually offered her to get paid for it and she said, no, thank you. because she just enjoys it so much. And it's a really great program that I think involves all of our 5th graders to really dabble in the stock market a bit. So I'll let her talk a little bit more about that.
I'm blushing now. You guys did such a great job. So every year, kids are given $100,000 in virtual money that's actually attached to the live New York Stock Exchange. And these gentlemen invested early. They hung on, didn't panic through all the ups and downs of the stock market this year. And just to give you a few stats, those of you who know about investing, this team performed at 13.6 over the S&P 500. Wow. And I also want to share that they are in the top 3% of all of the teams in the district, including high school and middle school players. So huge accomplishment this year. And Ms. Caudill is going to medal you guys. And then I have a bag of plate.
Very cool. I didn't either. Awesome.
So I'm not sure if the board maybe has some questions, or perhaps Mr. Zoff has not, jump in there a little bit with these lads.
I'm just going to ask where you got his tips from.
And we get bragging rights.
Hey!
Whoa!
Thank you so much.
Hold on before you sit down. So we have, it is my honor to give these certificates to you for your awesome, outstanding achievements. These are certificates of recognition for each of you, Mr. David Christensen. Show you up. Well, Davis. Last time I think I saw you in person was making pancakes at,
They were delicious.
they were delicious. Congratulations, gentlemen. Did you think that you would like this game as much as you did? Well, I'm assuming you liked it. Did you think you'd do well in this game? No, not really. Any aspirations to like work in the financial industry after this? As a result of this stunning success? All right. Thank you. Let's give you guys a hand.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have another honor, which is the 2023 Michigan Department of Transportation Bridge Design and Challenge winners. So perhaps some budding civil engineers. So if the folks who won big on the Truss Bridge and the Tide Arch Bridge could join me at the podium, please. Thank you. Come on over. It's all right. Oh, it's all right. It's okay. They can help lead us through this without us. So who are the Truss Bridge folks? Let's start the three of you. Okay, come on up. So Truss Bridge, come right over here. That way the board can kind of see and whatnot. So the Truss Bridge piece of it in the Michigan Department of Transportation, if you could explain just a little bit on what the challenge was that you faced and how you attended to that challenge, and whoever would like to speak. Looks like they voted for you. You got it.
So like overall, you're asking?
Just curious about the challenge, like what challenge you were given and what you had to do to earn this honor.
Okay, so we faced a lot of challenges overall. As a team, we were supposed. You want to say? Okay. So the competition, we were supposed to learn about bridges. So we had to analyze how they work. We used the Bentley software to analyze, build our bridge, and we had to learn about the bridges, analyze them, build the bridge, and in the competition, we would test the bridge. We also were given the chance to present about the bridges.
So yeah, the competition was about, we built a bridge, then we tested it, and then we made a presentation about it. And whoever had the best presentation plus the overall efficiency of our bridge would win the competition.
And we had lots of fun.
Which is the best thing. So how would they test the durability of the bridge or the loads that it could take? Like, what kind of test did they put it through?
If you look at that image, we're testing one of our designs with a pit scope bridge tester, and it's a cool machine that you put this piece of wood block on the bridge deck, and you insert like a little beam into the center, and the machine will pull down on the beam, which will pull down on the block, which will add load to your entire bridge. And the machine will tell you how many pounds your bridge held.
So from a standpoint of load, what was it able to endure? Did they give you a weight number, a force number? How did that work?
Yeah, it's like it would go on. We got 140 pounds.
Wait, this? 140 pounds. Really? Isn't science a beautiful thing?
Yes.
Wow, I'm going to pass this down. We'll make sure we get this back to you, and we promise not to break it.
So another question for you. So you had to design the bridge, so there was your design, right? Did you get to pick the type of wood, or did they just give you the wood?
They did provide us with the wood. We used balsa wood.
Okay. And I noticed on the bridge, like some of the some of the areas you have a different, like a thicker piece of wood, in other areas you have thinner, so you kind of figured all that out and designed it, right?
Yeah, first, we sorted our woods. We had to check like the stiffness and density, and we used those stiffer and denser woods where there were stronger forces. That's why they kind of vary, because some areas are influenced by the forces stronger than others.
So tell me, did you guys actually use some math to try to figure this out?
Yeah, we did. We used math to calculate our efficiency. So what we would do is we would take the load that we held, multiply it by 454 to convert our units, and then we would divide by the mass of our bridge.
Mass.
Very good. It proves that math sometimes comes in handy, right? Excellent job. Since I'm an engineer, I just love hearing kids talk about this stuff. And I really love the last comment over there about how you said it was fun and exciting. That's the best thing. Engineering's really cool. It's a lot of fun and more people should go into it. Math rocks.
Yeah, we had lots of fun. 5 out of 5 stars.
We'll
Would do it again.
Yeah, I have a question too.
So I was wondering, how many versions of your bridge did you guys go through before you decided on your final design?
Well, we built a lot of bridges.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Nine bridges.
9?
Yeah.
Awesome.
How long would it take to, I have a couple questions too. Did you have more?
No, that was it.
I was curious to know how long it takes to build one bridge and what were some of the challenges and maybe any feelings that you struggled with as you were working together and trying to like stick to this project? Like I would imagine if you had to build 9 bridges, it might be really frustrating and you might want to give up. So how did you keep encouraging each other and how did you guys make it through to completion?
We kind of like set deadlines for each other. Not like deadlines, but we kind of made sure that we have this like time and date or some. Like, for example, on Tuesdays we would come to the school and test our bridges, and that kind of kept us like, oh, we gotta work. I would say a big challenge for us was deciding which design to pick, because she built a modified Warren, while we built a Baltimore. Well, I built a Baltimore, and we both wanted our designs because we both think it's a great design. But then in the end, we went with Baltimore. Yeah, so there were also a lot of other challenges.
So about the bridge building process, I think mine took maybe, well, like glue had to dry. So after putting the balsa wood together, which would take maybe 20 minutes for one side of the bridge, and then we would have to wait for maybe an hour, and then like put 2 sides together and connect it. So like maybe 3 hours if you're efficient. I wasn't.
Nice to
I
be
was.
honest. Yeah.
Love it.
Well, actually, I'm usually very slow, but I was actually pretty fast.
Sounds like you guys each played off of each other's strengths and kept encouraging each other. And if you had that Tuesday deadline, like we have our Tuesday meetings every week, we knew that we're going to get together and we're going to talk about things. It'd be really easy to keep putting it off, right? And say, oh, I got busy with, something else school related. So that's impressive.
Thank you.
So Ananya, Sophia, and Grace, thank you so much for representing Northville so well. We're going to invite the folks who designed the arch bridge. Do you have a model of your arch bridge? Come on, guys. I want to see it. All right.
So, much like their goal, we used a Tylerk bridge instead of a truss bridge in order to design a bridge and also build a bridge with the highest possible structural efficiency. We also needed to gain knowledge on engineering, some mathematical stuff in order to design this bridge. We also used some simulation softwares. There was also Model Smart Power Draft that we used, which was a software in order to design our bridge.
So if you were going to kind of the difference between the bridges on the truss and that tied arch, could you give us an example of a tied arch bridge that maybe people in this room have seen, something in the area that's maybe famous? If not, that's okay. I can Google search it really quick. But anything?
Yes. So there's the Blue Water Bridge.
Ah,
I don't know if you know that. And there's also the Gateway Bridge. So I'm pretty sure it's the Gateway Bridge that spans over Canada. Yeah, so it's the Blue Water Bridge that spans from the U.S. to
So
Canada.
from Port Huron to Sarnia.
Yeah. So that one's a pretty famous bridge.
We'll never cross it again and not say, who's ever in the car with me, well, you do realize this is a tied arch bridge, right? And they'll look at me like, how do you know this stuff? And I said, oh, some high school kids that I hang out with, they taught it to me. So it's a tied arch bridge. The Blue Water is that way. And out of a truss or a tied arch, which one of the two is a stronger bridge, or they just have different applications for different spans?
Yeah, so I believe the truss bridge is actually stronger. However, it can't span as long of a distance because the characteristics of the tied arch bridge compared to the truss bridge. The way it distributes the loads, the tied arch bridge, is much more efficient compared to the truss bridge.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Any questions from the board?
Were you required to do a tied arch bridge?
That's what I was wondering.
Yes.
Oh, you're
Okay.
required to do that, okay.
So you didn't choose it for some strategic reason. It was your assignment to maximize
Yeah,
the
so
bridge
for
performance.
every grade level, for seventh to eighth was truss bridge, and then for us 9 to 10th was tied arch bridge. And so it's kind of assigned to us, but we have to design it. So we had a lot of difficulty kind of figuring out how tall our bridge should be, because that really greatly affects the efficiency of the bridge. So we were able to simulate it in Model Smart, which kind of actually shows you how much weight your bridge would be able to hold in the real world. And so that's how we decided on our rise and stuff.
So I got a question for you. So you guys got to use some modeling software to design the bridge and actually do some calculations about how much it would hold. How close was the actual weight it was able to hold versus your design prediction? Was it close, far apart?
So our bridge weighed like 22 to 23 grams, and it held like 130 around-ish pounds.
Okay.
And it had an efficiency of like 2,800 or something.
Okay.
Did the model come pretty close in predicting what you
Yeah, it did.
it did?
I'm curious to.
I'm going to ask the same question I asked the other team. So how many different versions did you guys have to go through before you found the one that was competition ready?
Well, we mainly created 3 designs. Well, we created 9 bridges, but with 3 designs. So our first design was we used 2 pieces of laminated pieces of wood to create the arch, which was the arch. And then we found out that wasn't efficient because of torque, and it would easily twist the bridge. So we made it a box-like shape because it would help prevent torsion, which is the twisting of the bridge when you apply load. And that's basically and then we also tried increasing and decreasing the height of the bridge. And we figured out that ideally that 4 inches was the ideal height.
Nice, thanks, guys.
I was curious to know what your process was, and had any of you built a bridge like this before? If you've been in this kind of an environment or this kind of a contest before, and what
Yeah.
helped you stick to this process for this bridge?
This is actually our second year, this is our 3rd year, and it's his 2nd year, so we've done this before. So last year we also did tied arch bridges, and the previous year we did truss bridge. So we also had basic and good understanding on how to do it.
And how did you stick to it? Did you ever feel like giving up, or how did you follow through?
No, because our team members were always encouraging us, and also our advisors. And we also had goals and plans to meet at certain deadlines. So we would always check them once we're done. And yeah.
Awesome, great work.
Excellent job. Congratulate you guys. And I hope one of you decides to hang around and maybe give some guidance to next year's team, right? Be like a mini coach, because you guys got some great lessons you can pass on to the next team. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And we have
Thank you so much.
Tide Arts Bridge team. Jonas. Congratulations, Joshua. Round of applause for the gentlemen. And for the Cross Bridge team, we have certificates of recognition as well. Grace, congratulations. Anaya, congratulations. Congratulations. Well, another round.
Thank you all so much. And really what we saw tonight was a reason that we're incredibly grateful in Mr. Boffman and his team for providing us the opportunity to enhance our STEM and STEAM offerings throughout the district. We have students that are winning at the highest level of competition, and the way we're able to do that is to expose them to as much of this applied science as possible. So, Mr. Boffman, thank you for all the work you've done with PLTW and other engineering things to get us there. It's fantastic.
Just wanted to add one advisor, who is here, and they won the end of competition, and we were at the astronomical competition in Seattle.
So they're going to Seattle.
They went to Seattle.
Wow.
These two teams represented in Seattle.
Amazing.
Yeah, and both the teams placed first in the competition.
Well, thank you for the parents as well and the volunteers, right? Because
Yes.
none of this stuff happens, by itself. It's about contributing. And so thank you very much for getting involved and helping the kids and getting them there every single week to, I'm sure, the locations where they could work together.
Yeah, I think all of us would like to thank Coach Diane. She helped us a lot along the way, and she's been doing this for many years now. And,
Aw, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She helped us a lot along the way. Like whenever we were stuck, we could always go to her. And especially with the software and stuff, a lot of us were pretty new to it because it's a little complicated. So we had a little trouble using it, but we were able to design our bridges in it.
Yeah, I agree with Triam. She's been there to help us, and she was really there to help us. She knew everything and would really help us. I think Coach Dan's amazing. So thank you, Coach Dan.
One final thing, if I am allowed to say, but Coach Diane really helped us manage our time, like her being an adult, us being, well, mainly me, being a kid. My time management skills are not very good, so
Yet.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, but she helped us a lot along the way, not only in bridges, but also in life skills. So I would like to thank her in that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it's the people behind the scenes, Coach, that often aren't seen. And I think the look on your face and how you're beaming really tells me why you chose to do this as well. So thank you. Well done. Thank you all. Thanks. President Wilson, if I could just have a second before our ABCD awards.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we are in an extraordinary week. Last night, President Wilson, thank you for coming to our honors convocation last night. 2+ hours of awesomeness, to put it really simply. 31 National Merit Fellows, to see them there, but also maybe and Rebecca and I talked about this a little bit, but one of our favorite awards was one given by GRBS, Mike, and giving that scholarship. And it's GRBS, if the community doesn't know, is who we work with to clean our buildings and our spaces. And they give a scholarship away every year to one of our kids. And the young lady who earned the scholarship, to me, exemplified a person who really transcended so many challenges. And to have her recognized by somebody, Mike, I know that you've worked with and brought here and stay in touch with. Ms. Peck and I were talking about it in her office today, and it was really moving. So, Lindsay, thank you so much for being there. What was your impression of it last night?
I was blown away. That was the first time that I had attended the honors convocation. I understand what we have academically, the successes that we have here in this district. I was familiar with the National Merit Scholars Program and our success there, but what really blew me away was a couple of things. Sort of the local awards that are given that I frankly had never heard of. There are groups around town and across the district that every year they go through a process of going through applications from fantastic students, and they give scholarships across the spectrum, big and small, to kids who are, I can't believe some of the things that they've accomplished in their young lives already. It was really moving. The 2.5 hours or whatever it was really flew by. It's a really great event. The high school team, hats off to them. They pulled off a really beautiful event. It was kind of bookended by really great music. I forget the young woman's name. I think Joy Huang, I want to say. But the local awards are something I encourage you all to dig in. Everyone knows about scoring high in the SAT and how that's a mechanism for becoming a National Merit Scholar. I think I'm getting that right. But there are also a number of scholarships out there that are awarded from by local organizations that some of them are in honor of lost sons and daughters and spouses and memorial scholarships and things like that. It's a really moving event. I encourage you to look into it and get your kid involved and looking at one of those scholarships that carry on these great traditions that we have here. Really wonderful event last night.
$60,000 in local scholarship, people just giving of their time, talent, and treasure. $180,000 was dispensed last night from young people joining our military and going into ROTC to protect our freedoms to be here tonight, frankly.
Yeah.
And to see them selflessly step up, it was definitely a beautiful thing. And I know you're the dad of a senior, so it's a powerful week for you, my friend. And I know as well, Ms. McIntyre, I think you're going through the fields as well this week. Is that true?
Yep.
Yes, it is. So this morning, 6 a.m., boom, there we go, 5 a.m. Parents were at the high school making breakfast for 643 high school kids. 643. So 643 kids then came and dined today as they had their last day. Tonight, what's really neat, I talked to Mr. Koski about this. I'd never heard of this, and this is just a neat idea. So right at the football field that I will call 8 Mile Field now, Michael, not the other name since we're not getting the dollars there, which is okay. We appreciate that, but nonetheless, 8 Mile Field. They have a senior sunset tonight. So the seniors will be getting together there to watch the sun go down. So hopefully we can get crack-a-lackin' and maybe go over there and check that out and see the kids. I know I would like to see it. I've never seen it before. Thursday, we have prom. So that is Thursday evening, and that's at the Suburban Collection. And of course, graduation the following weekend. 643 students. And I will say, without a doubt, it's been a pleasure getting to know the senior class as I have this year, and truly a privilege. So now I'd like to go ahead, President Wilson, and kick it back to you for our ABCD Awards.
All right, that brings us to 8C here, our Above and Beyond the Call of Duty Awards. These are awards that are given, and I think we've been doing this for 2 or 3 years, maybe a little bit longer. Across the district, anyone can feel free and should nominate teacher, staff, someone that you believe that you've seen go above and beyond the call of duty. And so we have a number of great awards here tonight, and I will hand it over, I believe, to Ms. Meyer and Ms. Stewart. Correct? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I am going to start us off this evening to recognize Bob Young, who's a paraprofessional at the high school, and he was nominated on behalf of a parent. The parent wrote, "My son and his classmates could not get through their day without the patience, kindness, and support from Bob Young, our classroom paraprofessional. He has an uncanny ability to know how to motivate our students, but also is calm, patient, and kind. Students that have multiple special needs thrive with a parapro that looks at the student not as a disabled person, but as a person with many capabilities that just need a variety of tools to help them learn and achieve. Mr. Young knows that when our student is having a rough day and how to help him from having a sensory overload by putting strategies in place to regroup and start again. He helps take our student out into the community to practice life skills and shares daily successes. He often shares notes and photos of our student achieving goals and enjoying his day, and that gives us as parents so much joy. When you have a child who is nonverbal, you don't know what their day is like, their highs, their lows. So to have these wonderful reports from Mr. Young, it makes all the difference to us. So thank you, Mr. Young, for going above and beyond. Is he here? Oh, yay.
All right, so I am up next. I have Clara Wagner, who is a cross-categorical teacher at Marine. Okay, guys, I'm gonna do my best here. Okay. So Clara has been nominated by a parent and a student. Her student has been in Miss Wagner's classroom since the fall of 2020. I was nervous about the transition to another school, especially during the pandemic. But it turns out there was, geez Louise, no reason to worry. My student flourished in Miss Wagner's classroom and continues to do so. All right. I do not see Miss Wagner in the room unless I'm missing her. No. Okay. This might make it a little easier for me to get through then. Let's see. He met every single goal on his IEP before the school year ended. And while he always enjoyed school, he was now getting excited to go to school. Her classroom environment, not only fostered learning, but social skills as well. So, congratulations, Miss Wagner. Oh.
Okay, I get to recognize Douglas Walters. Is Douglas Walters here today? Douglas is a math teacher at Meads Mill, and he was nominated by 2 students. One student says, he has completely changed the way I think about math within a span of a couple months. I have a better understanding of things we've learned in the past, and I easily understand things that we are currently learning. He accommodates all students and makes learning in his class easy and understandable. He has definitely gone above and beyond as he puts so much effort into teaching his lessons to make sure students understand certain concepts. And the other student said, he is a moving and inspiring teacher that has left a big impact on me and many others, and is wonderful to his coworkers and other staff members. He makes sure to teach students properly and thoroughly. So thank you very much, Mr. Walters, for going above and beyond.
Okay, I have the next one. I think I'm going to have a hard time with the last name. Anyone can help Miss Santer? McKitchick. Oh, okay, thank you. Kelsey McKitchick is a cross-categorical teacher at the high school. Is she here tonight? No. Okay. All right, so Kelsey has been a champion for inclusion. She leads our unified program at Northville High School and has expanded it to include more activities this year. Jeez Louise, guys.
All right, it's love. It's good.
Want to take over?
Got it. Nope. You
Oh,
got this.
gosh. Okay. She works diligently. Yes, it is. It
That's
is.
why it's
Yeah.
emotional. Yep.
She works diligently to ensure the high school is an inclusive environment and is working to spread Inclusion Week to all Northville schools. So thank you, Kelsey. And congratulations.
Okay, I'm going to recognize Megan McGraw, who's a second grade teacher at Winchester, and she was nominated by a parent. This parent says that she knew Mrs. McGraw was an exceptional teacher when she described to me my son's exact personality at conferences, all while having been back from leave for a few short days. For a teacher to get such insight into each and every one of her 27 students in such a short period of time speaks volumes. Mrs. McGraw has truly brought out the best in him. He went from someone who is shy and timid to someone that recently stood in front of the whole school and presented at an assembly. Mrs. McGraw highly recommended him for the position because she saw the potential in him, which made him believe in himself so much more. He is now someone who shares creative ideas and loves being involved. So thank you, Mrs. McGraw. Is she here? All right, well, thank you nonetheless.
If I may, a part of our year this year, and two of our team members, Mr. Madoon and Ms. Peck, were teaching today as part of the super sub. And Ms. McGraw is somebody I was able to teach in her classroom. And one thing that I'm sure Abdul and Rebecca felt and saw is when we're in these classrooms and we're teaching, and I'm so proud to say that really our entire central office team engages in this. It connects us to the work and the why of what we do, helps us empathize with our teachers, with our students, have a better understanding of what happens and occurs. And Miss McGraw's class was the most recent. And I see some Winchester families here who are familiar with their work. And I'm going to say culturally, the culture that was set in that classroom, and I'm sure the two of you felt it today, you can feel it. You can feel all that was done before we got there and as we stepped in, how helpful the kids are, how caring they are, and so on. And so I will vouch for whoever nominated her being in her classroom. Just phenomenal. And I'm not sure what your experience was today. Maybe there's an opportunity you can share it with us. But what was it? Where were you today? Thornton Creek.
Students help me pronounce she has a very long name. The kids were inquisitive, they were helpful with one another, they were kind. I was talking so loud, I thought the mic was on.
All right, Norm.
Which the students told me today. I have a very loud voice. It was, Dr. Weber, as he pointed out, it really helps to connect us to the work. Everybody sitting at this table, for the most part, have been teachers. I think that Mike is an honorary teacher because he teaches me every day. But some of us haven't not been in the classroom for a while. And seeing a fourth grade classroom as a high school teacher was inspiring. It gives me, it was a little scary. It was a little scary, but yeah, it makes, I went into today wondering what it was going to be like and if I was going to be good enough for the kids. And I walked out of there feeling like they gave me so much more than I gave them. So it's a good day.
That's why I'm proud of my team. I mean, bottom line, the fact that it's not talk, they walk. And the fact that we've raised, I think with NEF, almost $9,000 in that from parents putting dollars forward that go right back into our classrooms and our kids. It really is another thing that I think makes this place special. So thanks for letting me jump in before Ms. Berryman.
Hey, Karen, can you read the last one?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
I'll be getting to honor Mr. Stephen Berryman, who is a ASD teacher at the high school. It is impossible to fully state the anxiety a special needs parent feels about sending their child to school, concerned not only for that child's education, but safety and well-being. The confidence we feel in Mr. Berryman completely erases his anxiety. This is no small thing. He always reacts quickly when we have concerns and responds not with a perfunctory email, but with patient meetings. He's excellent at managing his classroom resources while making allowances for his students' diverse needs. After all, not only are they special needs students, they are young men. And Mr. Berryman goes above and beyond to meet the needs of their energy, whether through academics, physical education, or other types of engagement. Mr. Berryman has created an environment where our students not only feel included, but are fully nurtured. So thank you very much to Mr. Berryman.
Come on up. Oh.
Hang on, wait for a picture.
Gotta get a picture here. Get up there for the picture? No. Okay, you're good.
Thank you.
You know, I just got to add something to that one. And I think probably a lot of parents who are in here right now, when you have a student who, you know, has some type of special needs, it's a huge anxiety, right? You're turning your child over to someone else and you're hoping that they will, you know, be there and nurture them and care for them and meet the needs. And, you know, that's scary. And it doesn't really matter that, you know, maybe, you know, whatever year, every new year is kind of a new challenge and it's a new worry bead. And so, you know, when you have a situation where those teachers come out and just, you know, with an open heart, you know, welcome the kids, they know who they are, they help them. And I love the statement about, you know, when there's a concern, I just don't get the perfunctory email, right? The standard kind of thing. But the people who get involved, you know, get on the phone, have the meetings and take it personally. And that says something really special about the teacher. And that's why these things are so important. Parents, you know, parents love their children, you know, and they'll do anything for them. And so for someone like you to make students feel so welcomed and so loved and so taken care of, where that parent just feels safe, you know, that's a special thing. So thank you from the entire board. And it really, that statement goes out to every teacher that's in here today. You guys are really special, and we thank you for really going above and beyond. You know, it's a perfect name for this award because it is above and beyond the call of duty. So thank you.
I could just make one real quick comment. I mean, to echo Jim's comment just a little bit, we really do have the best team in the business in my mind. Week after week, we hear about our central office leadership team, for starters, doing things like sub for a day and pushing themselves into classrooms that they haven't been in some time and challenging themselves that way. Best in the business. Week after week, we also hear about these above and beyond Call of Duty awards. Melissa, you're right on with the emotion there. We just, you know, some of us are just not, you know, as outward with it, I guess. But these stories that we hear about every week, I just reaffirm for me how good we have it across the board when it comes to staff and the people that are, like Jim said, watching your kids, responsible for your kids day after day after day after hour, going above and beyond. So, you know, I just wanted to add that comment. It's so good to see these, and the lists never end. It's just such great people that we have working in this district.
Thank you for saying that, President Wilson. As you know, I look at the list, and now that I've been here for a bit, you know, Mr. Walters at Meads Mill, you know, being around and seeing people like yourself, you know, I'll say thank you to you, and you'll say, you don't need to thank me. I love this. I mean, like you folks, all the people honored tonight, please know how special you are. The parents of the kids you serve know. The kids might not treat you like they know sometimes, but they do. And please know that the people who serve beside you at this table here, at the table there, and in the crowd are greatly appreciative. This is the time of year where there is no tired like teacher tired. I think you all know what I mean, like hanging on by our fingernails, right? The kids are a little bit more rambunctious, maybe. The techniques that used to work don't work anymore. And we have to pull out every bag or every trick we can out of the bag, but we do it and we do it lovingly. So thank you all for that. It means a ton. Thanks for saying that, President Wilson. And I think we're ready to go to the Cook presentation. I will say personally, I learned if there is one place that I've learned the most, it really is this building. In my 11 months here, I have been open to a world that I did not know existed, a world that is genuinely magic, and one that for 30 years I've fought for public education. And when I didn't think I had the juice to fight any harder, you walk into this building and you realize every dollar that goes to a parochial school, every dollar that goes to a voucher program takes money away from these kids. That's it. And the students that we serve here and the families we serve here deserve the level of service they get. It's exceptionally expensive, and they're worth every penny. And so I will say to Jen, to Aaron, to Beth, thank you. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for believing. Thank you for advocating. Mike and Abdul, I know that with PA18 behind the scenes and work that you've done to make sure the dollars get here, the staff is here. Realize 145 or so students are in your building. And I believe you have somewhere near 145 staff members. So
A little bit less.
you think about that in the amount of staffing per child, in the need that's here, the families that we serve, the opportunity that we give, what we saw tonight, that this is not a place where youngsters are dropped off and simply cared for, but every visit that I've done to your building, Jen and Aaron, everyone, and I've been with board members, I see real, well-planned and delivered instruction every single visit. There's a plan. It's being worked. The kids, there are expectations for our students. And as Beth told me, RJ, Cook serves, from, I believe, 9 local areas, including Northville.
RJ is going to do my entire
Sorry.
introduction.
I'll stop.
It's okay.
I just genuinely, this is a rare chance publicly that I can say thank you for teaching me. Thank you for teaching me.
Thank you.
Because I had no idea, and I will fight until my last breath for public education. And if anyone wants to know why or challenges me, I'll invite them to tour Cook, and I'll look them in the eye and say, show me a non-public that does this to this level. They can't.
Well, thank you.
Right on.
So when we came tonight, we prepared the pledge for our students. As RJ mentioned, we have students that come from 9 different districts and actually 12. So coming here is in the evening is difficult, but student voice is very important to us. And so while we did the pledge already, I would like the board and the people that are here to see the ways in which our students communicate, which is one of those very core things and part of our motto.
I pledge allegiance of the United States of America
and to the republic which it stands,
nation. Oh my God.
indivisible,
With liberty
and justice.
Thank you for doing that again for our students. It just goes back to what we were talking about earlier, the above and beyond award to Bob. When you have a nonverbal student or students that communicate in different ways, it's important for everyone to know that communication is core to what we do here, but it's really core to who we are as people. So who we are at Team Cook, again, Dr. Weber has already given a little bit of the background that you should know if you know about Cook. So we have students that are here from age 2.5 actually to 26 from 3 different programs. We have a dually diagnosed program, students that are both emotionally impaired and cognitively impaired. And then we have a severely cognitively impaired program and a severely multiply impaired program. Here at Cook Proper, as we call it, we have multiple classrooms within those 3 programs, but we also have 2 rooms at Hillside, and then we have 2 at Northville High School. So our students, when they're age appropriate, are able to be off campus and get some of that peer-to-peer, which is really important. And you'll hear a little bit later about the peer-to-peer things that we've been building here at Cook Proper this year, which we're excited about. So again, students from 9 districts and actually 12, a couple of people that have come on cross-county deviations. Our students are learning just like everyone else, K-12, the Common Core, but really looking at the essential elements. So it's that just right instruction for them. Our preschoolers are learning about life through interaction and through the Carolina curriculum. And then also we have a post-secondary curriculum, which is really an extended opportunity to look at life skills, that functional skills, and the core curriculum where it's appropriate. All of our students have an IEP, and we have a plethora of services. So as we mentioned, we have closer to 160 students and about 110 staff if you count the supports that come to the building, a couple from Livonia, but most of them are here that are Cook employees. Finally, this year our big focus was to look at supports across the building and see how that is intertwined and connected to the MTSS system. So looking at tiered supports, what does everyone have, what do some have, and what do a few have? And even though this is the most, it's the most secluded, or rather like experience for our students when we look at that restrictive environment where we only have students that have special needs. It's important for us to have that tiered system within here as well so that everyone knows how that works. So Erin is going to talk a little bit about some challenges and some things that we've had this year. Erin Barney.
Okay, we can go to the, oh, I can do it. All right, so I get to talk about not so fun things, but then some fun things. And I have notes because otherwise we'll be here all night. And I know you're trying to see the sunset. So some challenges to start with. We started off this year pretty rocky. And we're not alone in experiencing staffing shortages, even in education, everywhere, every business, you name it. People have been experiencing that with COVID. So this past year, when we were starting in the school year, we began the year with 8 teacher openings from between last January up until October. That was 6 teacher openings in our SXI program, 1 in our SCI program, and 1 in our DD program. This resulted in 5 classroom closures. So we had to close a DD classroom and we closed 4 classrooms in SXI. You know, it's very difficult for center-based programs. It's a difficult hire, right? Because it's this niche market. You're looking for unique candidates that have those experiences and or are open to exploring that. So there's, you know, it kind of filters in what candidates we can look at or who's even interested in applying. So this kind of resulted in some additional shuffling that we had to do within those closures. So we maxed out every SXI classroom to the cap that we could. That did offset some of the staffing needs we had across teachers, and we had several paraeducator staffing needs too. So we were able to redistribute that way, which was a good thing in terms of keeping the momentum going and not burning ourselves out teaching classes. Students in Cook's catchment region, so in our 9 districts, they were placed on wait lists to get into Cook, and we continue to have a chunk of kiddos that are still on the wait list for next year. So those are the bad stuff. So let's move to some opportunities here. We're able to identify some short-term and long-term solutions this year in problem solving and looking at ways that we can celebrate new opportunities for our building. One really exciting opportunity that has presented itself in Wayne County is called the Parent to Teacher Program. So this is a new initiative in Wayne County. It's taken off in another county, and we were able to get it up and running, not we personally, but Wayne County. And this is a partnership that they have between Wayne State and Eastern Michigan University. And what happens is paras apply to participate in a para-to-teacher program. And it's structured around their full-time work schedule. And it fast tracks them then towards a teaching certification, either in a cognitive impairment endorsement or autism endorsement. So we had several paras apply to this position, which is great. It's a 3-year process. Some of that might depend on, if a para has a 4-year degree, do some of those credits transfer, those types of things. And that's really up to the university's discretion in looking through that transcript process as to how long that might take. So we're really excited to the momentum that this brought. We had lots of interested paras, which makes up about 64 staff members in our building. So to have, I don't know the total number, but we had several, which is really, really cool. And they're excited to further their educations to become educators themselves. So that'll be great to see how that transpires for those folks. We also had new hires. We had 8 new teacher openings, obviously, at the start of the year. We were able to hire 3 awesome teachers this year. We also hired a behavior specialist who joined us mid-year for retirement that had happened earlier in the year. Outside of our hires, we started a new partnership with Hagera Health, and this was really thanks and kudos to Beth Santer. She connected us with Hagera Health, and we met with them over the summer and spring last year to talk about just some opportunities that maybe we could start looking at providing and through a case coordination type of supports coordination role. It's a grant-funded partnership with Hagera Behavioral Health. So we have a supports coordinator in-house once a week. She comes on Wednesdays. And interestingly enough, her mother used to be a former Cook employee. So it was a nice kind of full circle moment for her when she came in. So they receive referrals that connect our Cook families with things such as mental health treatment, medication management in the home, family support education, home-based services, crisis intervention, parent training, transition planning, guardianship assistance, and a ton more. So we're hoping that we can continue to build that. It's referral based. She works directly with our families, and it's great. Additionally, we also are bringing back more community partnerships, which we're going to talk a lot more about. And I'd rather have you guys hear from our team here, but it's been a really great experience to start bringing more of those things back post-COVID pandemic. So I'm going to pivot back to Jen really quick. Yes.
Maybe Jen can do this next part. I was just going to ask Jen, could you do just a short definition? We've got a lot of board members who have fairly, aren't as experienced in understanding DD, SCI, and SXI, and be great to just do the 1-minute definition for them. So if you could add
Sure.
that.
Yeah, so DD, dual diagnosed, is for students that have both a cognitive impairment and an emotional impairment. The cognitive impairment can be a range from mild to severe. And then our severe cognitive impairment program, most students are nonverbal, but they're ambulatory. They're working on their just right academic skills. And then our severe multiple impairment program are for students that have severe multiple impairments, but really it's the level of severity for any of these categories that would bring a student to this level of programming in the most restrictive setting. So students in our SXI program, severe multiple impairment, most are in wheelchairs. They need a lot of medical support, PT support. Those therapies that Jen was talking about are so highly and heavily integrated into the classroom. And we're going to talk a lot more about what that looks like throughout our presentation. But those are critical services for students. In order to access their education, they have to have those things in place.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jen, for common assessment.
This is the part that no one wants to talk about except for me. So I will start with the cart before the horse to tell you that all of our goals this year, both are all in ELA, behavior, and in math, were met, which is exciting given the year that we had, challenges and opportunities. So give yourselves a round of applause back there, folks, because despite challenges, all our students are making growth. So you have the data in front of you, but what's important about our common assessment is not only are we teaching that curriculum and looking at guaranteed viable curriculum at each grade level. But our common assessment gives us information about within each grade level, how to deliver strategies that might help with instruction. So the majority of our students, and you'll see in your packet, you can see the breakdown of the students, how they communicate, the level of instruction that they're receiving, and what kind of strategies that we would want to look at to support making sure that students are making growth in those areas. You can see also that there are grade level standards that we are looking at. So that line item that they are assessed on is something that we're providing supports and then making sure that students are growing in their identification of those sort of basic areas. So that's the exciting and the long term of it. I'm not going to talk your ear off about that, because what's more exciting thing for you and the rest of the team is that they're going to talk about our students and our instruction. So without further ado, Jessica Porter.
Hi, my name is Jessica Porter. I'm one of the 3 speech language pathologists here at Cook. I'm going to introduce the first part of our Cook school motto, which is I can communicate. So we have some exciting things happening in and around the Cook school community with regard to communication. So the first one is that our playground core board was installed this school year. So as you saw in our pledge video, all of our students at Cook use some form of assistive technology, whether it's picture cards, a single message switch, a head switch, or something more high tech like an iPad with a communication application. And so even our students who communicate verbally also benefit from a form of assistive technology. So having this core board on our playground with the Wayne County core vocabulary symbols has been really awesome for our students to be able to access language in a less structured time when it might be inconvenient to carry around those picture cards or have those switches readily available or carry their iPad around. So it's been really great. It allows our students to communicate about the things they want to do on the playground, comment and share their opinion, and interact socially while they're playing on the playground. So here are some photos of one of our students using the playground. He's saying, I want, and I believe swing in that last photo. And then here are some more of our students commenting, sharing their opinion, saying they like it, they want. So that has been exciting to have that installed on our playground. Some other great things happening, communication in the community. So many of our students participate in community-based instruction on a weekly basis. Students travel to different grocery stores and restaurants around the area, and they practice at the grocery store creating and sticking to a shopping list. They practice finding items on our list on the shelves, placing those items into the cart and then up onto the belt when they get to the cash register, as well as money management. Items purchased at the store are often used in either cooking lessons or during micro businesses, which you're going to hear more about later in the presentation throughout the school. Thank you. Okay, so the items purchased are used in various things around the school, whether it's micro businesses or cooking lessons. At restaurants, our students will practice ordering off a menu. They'll practice money management as well, and those social interaction skills that are so important for our students, those polite social forms, saying please and thank you, things like that. So here are some photos of our students out in the community using their different communication systems. Here are some more fun photos out in the community. Communication is embedded into so many skills that our students are working on in the community. So this year, our speech and language department made it a priority to really support that communication, functional communication out in the community. And we've been trying really hard to go out with our classrooms on community-based instruction whenever possible. Supporting communication in this community setting helps to carry over those skills that our students are working on in the classroom, such as making requests for the things that they want, protesting the things they don't want, commenting and sharing their opinion on different items at the store or restaurant, and practicing those social interaction skills like greetings and closings and saying thank you after checking out or receiving their groceries. We look forward to continue to growing this functional communication instruction in the coming years. And I'm going to introduce now one of our school nurses, Elena Howell.
Good evening. My name is Elena Howell, and I am one of 3 nurses here at Cook School. So with COVID restrictions finally lifted, our peer-to-peer opportunities have returned. This offers our Cook students and students across the district a world of possibilities. We are so lucky to have 2 satellite classrooms at Northville High School and at Hillside Middle School. The peers that our students interact with on a daily basis provide so many wonderful opportunities for our Cook students. At Hillside, peers come to the classroom once per week and do an activity with our Cook students. Sometimes they assist students with the letter of the week, shared reading activities, or playing an interactive game. At Northville High School, peers come to the classroom during each block of the day and support our students by participating in lessons, playing interactive games together, or going out with our students for movement breaks around the building or outside. These opportunities for inclusion are so important for both our students as well as their peers. Each student has an opportunity to learn from one another. This year, 2 of our amazing coworkers, Miss Leah and Mr. Sean, brought back a beloved Cook tradition, the Thanksgiving feast. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, Cook hosted a Thanksgiving feast, which brought together all of our students and staff, board office staff, cross-categorical classrooms at Hillside, and peers from the high school. Each classroom was responsible for bringing a dish and decorating their Thanksgiving table set up in the gym. It was an amazing way to bring our community together and talk about what we are thankful for and spend time together. And now, back to Jessica.
Thank you. I'm going to talk about another really amazing couple of peer opportunities that we have started up again this year. So we have a new committee at Cook that was started by a couple of our amazing paraeducators, Holly and Shannon. They created the Inclusion and Wellness Committee. And so we started this year with an event called Art in April, which hopefully you guys saw the video that was posted a few weeks ago. It was an awesome event. It brought together students from Ammerman, Hillside, and NHS to Cook to meet and interact with our students while engaging in art projects and other fun activities. So students created a craft together in the cafeteria, and then they moved to the gym to do some spray bottle painting, some sidewalk chalk. Weather didn't cooperate with us that day, so we had to do sidewalk chalk on black paper on tables, but it worked out well. And then some fun with the parachute as well. Many of our students at Cook proper will never have the same opportunities as other students for peer interaction. And not all of our students, unfortunately, get the chance to be in one of our satellite programs. So it provided a really unique opportunity for engagement and interaction with same-age peers. Peers were able to see how our students communicate and interact, and the collaboration between students was truly an amazing experience to witness. We received a lot of good feedback about the event, and we look forward to seeing it grow as the years go on. We also look forward to continued collaboration and inclusive events with other schools around the district. Another activity that we have been working on through the Inclusion and Wellness Committee is our Cook Garden. They connected with Ammerman Elementary to start planting our garden. So each department, SCI, SXI, and DD, each have a garden bed that they're working on. And each classroom that's participating has been working very hard to grow vegetables, herbs, or flowers. And the process of growing a garden from start to finish has been very functional for our students. There's been a lot of learning about plant life cycles happening. And the products from the garden will be used for school microbusinesses and or cooking lessons as well. So now I'm going to introduce one of our SCI teachers, Sydney Klocko.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sydney Klocko. I am a post-secondary SCI teacher and also the SCI department chair this year. And I want to talk to you today about the second part of our Cook motto, which says, I can learn. So I can learn. And where I want to start is the learning that occurred this year through our co-teaching efforts, starting with collaborative art. Collaborative art started in our DD department, where on Friday mornings, all of our DD classrooms located here at Cook proper gather here in the cafeteria to share a craft with one another. And what's really special about DD art is not only do you get to see their wonderful crafts hanging in the hallway when it's all done, but you can really feel and hear the joy radiating from the cafeteria on those mornings as the students are getting to interact with peers outside of just their classroom. They're forming new relationships while also practicing those socially appropriate behaviors in a group setting, often listening to stories related to the craft, potentially music, and sometimes even a snack. Seeing the success that the DD Collaborative Art has had, the SCI department decided that we wanted to take part in that as well. So we have started SCI Collaborative Art on a smaller scale as we're piloting it this year. Right now it is my classroom, which is a post-secondary classroom, and then Vicki Juni's middle and high school classroom, and we're meeting bi-weekly on Friday afternoons. We're having a lot of fun with it. The kids seem to really enjoy being with one another, using those fine motor skills at an appropriate level. And we're hoping that next year we'll be able to get more classrooms to join us. I'm going to introduce Danielle Richards to talk about collaborative cooking.
Hi, I'm Danielle Richards. I'm one of the post-secondary DD teachers here at Cook. And I'm going to talk a little bit about collaborative cooking. So not only does the DD department do collaborative art, but we have started collaborative cooking this year. So that is 5 of our DD classrooms that are located here at Cook proper. We get together every Tuesday afternoon and we do cooking lessons. So each teacher rotates. We have a schedule that we've made up together to plan the lesson for the entire DD department here at Cook. The students get the recipe, it's visually set up and adapted for them, and then they get to cook the recipe and enjoy eating it. The best part about this is one of our pairs actually wrote an NEF grant and was granted a couple grand actually to support our collaborative cooking efforts. So we got plates, silverware, a griddle, grills. We actually even got a KitchenAid mixer, like amazing, just so many supplies so that we can make anything we want to cook with the students. It's amazing. So the students practice preparing those, setting the items out, cleaning them when we're done using them, putting them away properly. We focus monthly on specific tools. So the September we focus on a microwave, and then we'll move to the stovetop, to the oven. And so they learn all sorts of recipes throughout the school year. We also do adaptive lessons to follow up with that. So was the recipe healthy? What kind of tools did we use? Ingredients? So there's lots of educational as well as just independence and life skills built into that activity.
So beyond co-teaching within our departments, as we discussed DD and SCI, we also have started to see some co-teaching across departments as well. This is happening at the post-secondary level right now with Dan Solomon's SCI classroom and Katie Schneider's SXI classroom. Katie's here today with us. And they are co-teaching twice a week. So on Mondays, they're working with their speech and language pathologists to use our unique learning systems curriculum. And then on Tuesdays, they are meeting to co-teach science and social studies lessons together. And if you look on the screen, you can see that whole group shot. That's both of those classes together engaging in that co-teaching.
Another fun way that we're learning this year is we have the PAYS lab finally set up. So this was funded for us, and PAYS stands for Practical Assessment Exploration System. And what this is a post-secondary curriculum that we can actually use though for any age as we can start it. But the program we learned about this summer, Beth Santer was with us. So a couple of the post-secondary teachers as well as OTs and Jen and Aaron, we learned how to use this very extensive system. It was set up, it's the picture here on the far right. So those boxes each have different tasks in it. There's 5 different categories. And so the students are assigned a box. They have to punch in like they would at an actual job. They have to locate that box, and then they have to do the task on there. And the task is on a card, and then they have to try performing the task and completing it correctly, and then they rate it, how they feel. This assessment gives us an idea of like what they can do, where their challenges may be, and what interests they may have for employment in the future. So OT has really had to help us adapt some of these. They've added extra visuals to it that weren't already provided so that some of our more severely challenged students can have a little more ease in finding these boxes because they're coded. But then our higher functioning students who can read are also able to use just those initial labels that they came with. So this awesome program works on work-related problem-solving skills, proper work behavior skills, understanding of individual learning and training styles for future employment. And while it's just being piloted this year, we haven't really got to dive deep into it. We're really excited to continue to use it. And it provides us with great IEP skills that we can add in there as well.
Beyond all of the core academics that we're constantly working on here at Cook, we also try really hard to instill our PBIS principles into our students through our school rules, which say be safe, be respectful, and be responsible. These are things that we're working on all the time here at Cook, but also when we're out in the community on those community-based instruction trips. And also in the home, I had a parent tonight say, safe hands to one of her students. And I was like, yes. We did it. So our PBIS committee works really hard. And last year they did a fantastic job surveying all of the staff here at Cook to come up with some common language for our students under each of these categories. And then this year, you may have seen them in the hallway, but they pushed out posters to all of our classrooms. And we also have some larger posters in the hallways that display this common language along with visuals that our students are very familiar with. And it's been very beneficial for our students because not only are they seeing those visuals across the setting, but they're hearing the same vocabulary across multiple staff to help make that stick.
The PBIS committee worked extremely hard on finding fun ways to celebrate with our students, being safe, being respectful, and being responsible here at Cook School. So we did a respectful parade, which was so fun. Each of the classrooms got to pick a theme and dress up, and we paraded through the school and showed off, took pictures, and the winners even got to silly string Miss Jen, so they enjoyed that. That's in the pictures up there. The responsibility bingo, we all set up in here, or for those who weren't able to make it to the classroom, we had a virtual option, and we called out bingo with responsible jobs that they may do around the school. So they had fun participating in that. At the end of the year, we did a huge glow dance to celebrate being safe, respectful, responsible throughout the whole year. All the students got individualized glowing certificates that were really punny, and we had sensory-friendly activities set up in the gym, as well as the music, and we had a slideshow of pictures demonstrating our students being safe, respectful, and responsible here at Cook throughout the year, as well as postcards that staff filled out and sent home at each marking period, and where we got to point out individual students and when they were being safe, respectful, and responsible. Now I'm going to hand it over to Katie Snyder.
All right, I am going to talk about our third layer of our motto, which is I can work. Okay. As post-secondary teachers, we focus a ton on vocational skills. But as you see in these pictures here, we start pre-vocational skills around 14 and age 15. As that is before the required transition plan starting at 16. So these students are working the hydration station, which they sell various flavored waters, Gatorade, sparkling ice, where they're practicing money skills and the social aspect there as well. All right, another micro business here at Cook is the juice bar, in which students buy ingredients, they make the juice, and they then sell their products around the building. NEF was a huge supporter in this micro business as they purchased the juicing machine to help Room 10 get this off the ground.
Unsolicited testimonial. You got to get here. You got to get some. Delicious.
So Room 20 at Miss Sandra's classroom makes paper, which the thank you cards that you guys got tonight is the paper that our students made. So again, the NEF helped purchase all new equipment and materials for this post-secondary classroom to focus on building those vocational skills. Students will tear old paper, use a switch-activated blender to make paper pulp, and they pour that paper pulp into a mold, which I assume is up there, and they're helping squeeze out that excess water using hand-over-hand assistance. The hotspot, which some of you saw earlier this evening, is our school store, which allows students to practice many different skills. Is also a collaborative working environment where multiple classrooms come together to make this happen, going out into the community to purchase the items, doing inventory and stock, loading the shelves, selling, and money management. Lastly, Miss Danielle and the Room 7 team work the coffee cart each morning. Students shop for supplies, make tea, hot coffee, and hot chocolate, and then they sell their products around the building. While selling, students are managing money and counting out change. And then next up is Jessica Anka, our preschool SXI teacher.
Okay, super excited that you all were able to check Connect Us out tonight, and we were able to have some kiddos join us. So before I was a preschool SXI teacher, I was on the opposite end for 12 years. So I had the role that Katie now has as far as transitioning out of school. So that's kind of where that connection went, where you met Eileen Whalen today, who started Connect Us back in 2008. So I'm just going to briefly summarize because I know we did chat about a lot before the meeting. Connect Us is a nonprofit 501c3. It was established by Michael Whalen, who's a Cook grad, and his mom, who you met tonight. Oh, there it goes. And what it is it provides service learning opportunities for our students to give back to the community in real meaningful ways. So Eileen takes that big project and then she breaks it all down into those individual stations and steps that you can see in the pictures as well. If you weren't in the Voc room before the meeting, it's completely adapted so that any student can access each task, no matter what challenge they might be facing. So it began as a once a month cook activity back in the day. It slowly built up. As Michael graduated, it was kind of his post-graduation micro business that we were getting cook grads to come back on Wednesdays and come participate. We had tons of volunteers come through Cook with this collaboration between Connect Us and Cook. We've had nursing students from U of M, nursing students from Madonna, social work students from Schoolcraft, engineering students from Lawrence Tech. We also started collaborating with Gabe. I don't remember his last name, but he's the engineering teacher at the high school right before COVID happened, as well as some pharmacy students from Wayne State. Those are just a few examples. So it's provided an awesome volunteer opportunity for tons of different fields. Our goal is to, no matter what field someone's going into, whether it's dental or anything, to have a hands-on experience with an individual like our awesome kids. So when COVID happened, we had to really shift gears because the kind of cool thing about Connect Us is it's a lot of fun people in a room together doing a fun project, which we had to pump the brakes on. So we still kept it going. But it's more on a self-serve basis that works for each classroom right now. So we're heading towards getting those links back in with our previous volunteer groups and just kind of seeing where we can go from here. But the actual projects have been up and running. Our students have still donated their time and given awesome things to different nonprofits in our community. So just a couple of recent ones. We did story starter kits for, I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Neanas? Ninus. Yeah, you said that earlier. Thanks. Dual Language Academy via Bridgepoint. Winter warm-up kits to Detroit Homeless via Congregation of One. Friendship bracelet kits to Mama Shoes Homework House in Hamtramck. Puppet kits to the Front Porch Project in Detroit. And puppets to Haiti via a mission trip. So those are just a few recent projects. Connect Us operates completely on fundraising, and NEF has been super supportive. I wrote a grant each year through the Innovative Grant Program, and they really supported us through probably 7 years, I would guess, maybe. And now we're a part of their regular budget plan. So they're committed to continuing this collaboration. So we're excited to kind of see what everyone wants to do for next year and brainstorm and go from there. So if you guys get time, if you could go to connectusmichigan.org, if you just get 5 minutes, there's an awesome video on the main page that really gives you a feel for the whole Connect Us picture. So I can't, I'm going back to you, right? Okay, back to Erin. Just a couple more pictures.
So just to kind of finish out the I Can Work, going back to the community, we have community-based instruction, but we also were able to get back into the community this year with a lot of job sites. We have students who you might see or familiar with that go to the board office, Old Village, working on shredding, working on cleaning. We have students that go to Ace Hardware Weekly, working on stocking, inventory, cleaning products, product placement. That you can see their work shirts. We have, this year we created a new opportunity for a student that works in the early childhood program in Northville. She works 3 days a week at Old Village and 2 days a week at Ridgewood as a classroom helper. We also started a new partnership with Northville High School Food Service. We have a couple students that work the snack line, restocking, handing out the food to those very hungry high school students throughout the day, and we're excited to continue in growing that partnership.
All right. So we wanted to close the meeting. We started with our vocational opportunity. You learned about working, and we wanted to kind of end on that working note. You know that we have been growing with our school improvement goals. You have something to grow now in your own garden, but we wanted to think about like our motto and think about how we started here and end with our end goal is as our students leave us, what will they do? What joy will they find in work and in life? And so we wanted to close our meeting and ask each one of you, what brings you joy in your work?
Oh, do you want me to start?
Sure, I'd love it.
Well, it's interesting. It's wonderful being here for me because I am a certified special education teacher myself, and I have been working as a guest teacher since 2019, and I'm currently doing a long-term working as a paraprofessional in a long-term subbing position in Novi at a special education preschool. So I was actually thinking earlier, I'm embarrassed if I'm yawning a lot, but I have a lot of fun getting to know and hang out with some really great kids. So I applaud everything that you do every day.
Awesome, thank you.
So my work is really through service in the community. And I think that it's a kind of a circle in life. And I've seen the circle of finding meaning in life that you provide for the kids here in the stories that you've told and the successes and also the challenges that you shared. So I think that for me, servant leadership is what really lends meaning to my life collectively, my career over many decades, and it all seems to come to a moment of clarity, I think, in what it's all meant over all these years, and making sure that it continues to bring benefit, I think, to my community and to people in it. So.
Thank you for sharing that.
What brings me joy? I'll tell you, it's not generally in my day job. It's this. I wish this was my full-time job. I wish this board work was my full-time job, and it's because somebody here stated it earlier tonight. I think the words were, finding people to work here requires a unique skill set, and it's difficult hires. But really what it is you're very special people. extraordinarily special people, and it makes me, it's really touching, inspiring, heartening, enlightening to see that, and to know that these kind of people and places are out there in the world, and so that just brings me joy. I love to see it. I love these kind of nights.
Thank you.
Gosh, joy for me is seeing people doing really difficult work and having fun doing it and bringing new people into the fold, right? That in this work, there's always the worry that like, how are we going to inspire young people to take this on? Because it's really easy to like, I don't know if it's easy, but to be a program, I mean, it looks easy, right? You could be a YouTuber, you could be a whatever, you could do all these, what looks like fancy things. Because it is hard to come in and deal with intense medical needs and kids who can't use words to communicate and who have big feelings and don't know how to name them or sometimes how to contain them. So I think that for me, joy in this seat and then the work that I do outside of the board is reminding people that we are a village, we are a community, and this work is so critical to we have to take care of all of the biggest needs in order to thrive as a community and as a society. So thank you for being that light for us too, that we get to see some things that, if you're just at the library on a, Monday night, you might not see. So thank you for that. That brings me joy.
I think right now what is bringing me joy in my work is getting to learn about different parts of our district that I haven't experienced yet. I got to spend last week at the community center doing artwork with preschoolers and seniors, and that was pretty joyful, I think, for me. So yeah, just getting to learn more about our community.
Thank you, Melissa.
So I'll say I'm a people person, right? I'm in a technical field, which you wouldn't think being an engineer is that much people, actually mostly the nerds, right? But I learned that businesses don't do business with other businesses. It's people who do business with other people. And so when I saw you guys talking about I can and I can communicate, that's what life's really about. There's all kinds of stuff, but if you can't communicate, nothing ever really happens. And so the joy I see is, being the old dog here, it comes back to very simple things is what makes life possible and how things go. So seeing you guys teach communication, right? The importance of that, the ability to share one's thoughts or communicate what my needs are is what drives this world, right? It drives this world here. It drives this world in business. And I'll say my other joy is children. I mean, I love children. My wife, when I was younger, I said I wanted to have 6 or 7. She goes, "Oh my God, you're out of your mind," right? So we didn't have that many, but I love kids, right? And so, again, coming here, see the students, listening to them, communicate, going into the store and getting the hug. God, I love that. That was a great experience. I was waiting to get kissed. He didn't do that, but hell, I'd have kissed him back.
Thank goodness.
I would have.
Thank you.
But that's the kind of stuff that brings me joy, right? It's communication, it's kids, it's just seeing the simple things, because in the world, we try to complicate it too much. Really, bring it down to simple things. If you do the simple things right, other things kind of fall into place. So anyways, thank you for reintroducing and reminding me about what makes me happy.
Thank you.
Simply being an advocate and ally for those living on the margins. This notion of in public education that I've had the privilege of 30 years of being able to help people find their way or speak and fight for people who might not have a voice, to be able to help people see themselves in the way that they can't see themselves sometimes because of the stress they're under, the work they do, or what have you. And I am very fortunate that this profession, as I look over at the table, the folks I'm privileged to serve beside every day, like every day we get to roll in and get after it for your families and your kids, and for you in the back there who are with our families and kids. And please know how much we love it. Everything's not unicorns and rainbows. We all have our stresses, sure. But at the end of it, there is no place I would rather be than beside each of you, your kids, your families, and the joy just in fighting for every right and every ability. So thank you for that. And then,
Thank you.
Jen, I know we have a chance for a few questions, but if I could, Beth Santer especially. So we have 9 districts that are served by you and by your team, and consistently, the person I see in this building and servicing this space are Beth and her new friend Abdul Maydoun, who they're together often, which is great. And Mike's off in Public Act 18 and the monies that going to advocate at Wayne Risa for. I will get a little chippy right now and say I am incredibly proud that Northville has chosen to be the place for a center program for the 1% of students in the Wayne County who need it the most, who need the most resources. And we gladly, lovingly say, yes, us. Yes, us. And well, I love my brothers and sisters in other districts. The people I see here day in, day out are our Northville people, our Beth, our Abdul, obviously you two, a board that you've heard cares and will fight for you and beside you as well. And for the families who are in this room and the staff that's in this room, please know we'll never fully be able to understand everything you give, whether you're a mom or a dad or a guardian who lives with a child, and that stress that can come from hoping they're going to be okay. I mean, Jen, as you know, we lose children here every year, not just 1 or 2, because of conditions they have. What that puts upon you as a staff, what that puts upon you as families. We take it not only seriously, but I like that word, we take it joyfully. Like, this is not in any way, shape, or form a burden. And I think that's what people who don't know about the work you do think sometimes. And Beth, you understand this. Oh, it must be hard doing what you do. And it's like, I love it. How many times do you say that to me? I love it. So before any questions came, I wanted to really put a fine point on that fact, to thank everybody in the room for those who trust us with your children, for those who care for our children, for those who make sure that we get the staff and the folks in here to support your children, to Mike Zoff, who makes sure we get every nickel of PA18 and then a little bit more to help as well. Abdul Maydoun, who's been a great partner with Miss Santer in hiring, as Aaron said. I mean, Aaron, we started with how many folks were we down at the beginning? Again, was it 8? I mean, just start a place, and we work in a profession where it's not just, oh, we can go ahead and offshore it somewhere. We can go ahead, those kids, just leave the kids alone in the room for the next day or whatever, because don't worry about it. Like, in the work we do, it is as hands-on as can be. And so thank you for all of that. And I am finished, but I just want to say thank you so much. I think Beth was going to say something as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much for all of your kind words and your attention to this very important presentation. I don't have a prepared statement, but I am so proud of this team. As I was watching the slides, I was thinking back to the days of COVID, which I don't like to reflect on too much because those weren't happy days. It was such a challenging time. It demanded the most flexibility. It demanded the most restrictiveness. And yet FAPE is not flexible. So our Cook team was challenged with how to provide educational opportunities for our most complex learners every single day. At times also coming to work and wondering about their own health and their family's health. It was incredibly challenging, and they did it with love and care. When I see that the activities and opportunities that they've brought back and even grown for our students, it just is bucket filling, doesn't even begin to describe it. I think this presentation brought all of us pride and joy, but I feel the most prideful and joyful for our staff at Cook, because they're the ones that have shown up every day and have created it. And I just couldn't be more grateful to serve this district, but also Cook specifically.
Thanks, Beth.
questions.
I always want to say, how can we help you do more? And I think some of the things that really stood out to me were how much work you're doing to do the cross-teaching, to do some community-based programming that I know one of the things I struggled with when I first moved to Northville is like, who are the kids that are getting off the bus when I'm at the story time with my youngest? And I love seeing that there is more of that in the community, that isn't just the library at 1 hour on a week, that it's really expanding. And I know that takes time, energy, money, organization, all the supplies, all the tools. So one of my questions is always, how else can we help as the board? I think we talked about that last year too, that, this is, to Dr. Weber's point, this is so important for us to continue to help staff thrive, that helps students learn, and just really hats off to all of you for doing this really hard work and yet so important.
I think spreading the word is the most important thing that you can do. And if we need something else, we're going to toot it. We're going to let you know.
So I'll make a comment, kind of a question, but maybe it's more of a question or a point to the board. This is a really unique place. Unless you come here a few times, it's hard to really understand really what happens. So I encourage you to, be around. I'm going to encourage you to come to graduation. We tend to think that graduation is on June 4th with 640 kids at the high school. And that's a great event, national merit scholars and everything else. But you have never attended a graduation until you come to Cook with 8 or 9 kids graduating at 26 years old in a rather rambunctious, loud, joyful place. It is great to hoop and holler and see the kids, but every one of Kim was there last year with me, and there was I think 8 graduates. Yep, and every single damn one of them, in my opinion, was a national merit scholar. So I challenge you to try to come here on graduation day, which is June 14th or 13th, whatever it is, right? A lot of us work. It's difficult, but it's a lunch hour. Take your lunch hour at this time. Come on down and see it, believe it, yell, cheer. I mean, I know everybody's like, well, we got to be quiet. Hell no. This is a time to celebrate. I threatened last year I was going to bring my cowbell this year. Unfortunately, I'm not in town, but I will bring a cowbell before I'm done with this board. A great experience. I challenge you to be here. I challenge our board also to never forget. I remember, and again, I usually turn to Sarah and say, how many years ago was this, Sarah? But when we started the first ASD classroom at Thornton Creek, and it was as a board, we were like, what the heck's that mean? Can we do this? Whatever. And, we kind of took a leap of faith and did it. And we went for 3 or 4 years till the kids kind of moved beyond. And then we took another leap of faith and did it at Hillside, and took another leap of faith and did it at the high school. Whenever that next challenge comes, take that same leap of faith for these kids, because not only is it great for the kids to interact with the rest of society, because they got to do that, but it is just as great, and I think even more important, for the rest of our kids to interact. There is such a growth that happens. And so it's not so much a question to this team, because this team I've seen, faces change, but this team has just been rock stars for years. But I challenge our board, get here more often, come to graduation, and when it comes time, one of these days in the future, have faith, make that leap of faith and support them, because, God, I look back and I go, why were we so scared to make that decision? And it turned out to be such a great decision, right? So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. I'll make one comment, just kind of supportive, is it's so unique to come here, right? Because as a school, we tend to think about traditional K through 12, and we do our 5-year goals and we do our 1-year, focus and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, we get into metrics and all this kind of things. And they don't perfectly align here. And so what I love about this staff is your ability to take the stuff, and I'm going to say the garbage sometimes that gets thrown your way, but you figure out and say, you know what, interesting concept. How would we apply that here? And you creatively think out of the box to say, well, the goal is about our students and how to get better. So how can we take the concept they're pushing, but transform it in a way that's appropriate for our kids? Some of the most creative things I have ever seen in my life. You've had to invent tools, and I don't mean like metrics and tools, but I mean just tools. I mean, the amount of creativity to figure out how we're going to do this with this environment is amazing. So I thank you. After 11 years of coming here, I got one more to go. But I thank you every single day, every single time I come here. I'm just so proud of the district and how you not only make life better for these kids, you make our entire district better for the interaction. So thank you.
Thank you.
And that's truthfully from the bottom of my heart, man. I'm a people person and I'm in sales and I can talk the crap off of people, but that one comes from my heart.
I just wanted to comment on the fact that the parent teacher program, I think I saw you flashing double digits in your
10.
hands.
Yeah, we had 10 people that applied, and I believe that 8
And
people
I think
were
that's
accepted.
amazing. The fact
Yeah.
that there's a shortage is, there's, as we know, there's a teacher shortage everywhere, but especially in special education. And it's because this is a tough job. And one thing that we didn't see in all the pictures is all the paperwork that you're doing and a record keeping that you're doing. So that's another layer of everything that you do every day that's very dedicated. So the fact that you have people in this building, 10 people, who are inspired by what they do every day and what they see the teachers in the building doing every day, that they want to not only stay, but develop their career, I think really says a lot about the culture and environment that you have in here. So thank you so much for that. And thank you to them. I mean, that's wonderful. And hopefully we can just get them to stay. Right?
That would be exciting, yes. Thank you.
So I would like to just dream a little for a minute. I probably don't have as many words as Jim, but I dream of the time when our community doesn't have to plan diligently or deliberately for adaptation, that adaptations are the norm and fully available across society. And the expectation is that we will always provide pathways and routes in an open and comprehensive manner for all people with all kinds of needs. And I think that this district is making, a huge forward movement in inclusivity between our students at all levels. It was news to me that you had Ammerman here. I think that that's just, wonderful, all the way up through the high school and all of the inclusive sporting events and peer-to-peer programs. And it's, as I said, I think at Hillside, when we had the peer-to-peer speakers come in and visit us, you are changing the world. You will never look at the world the same way after having had this experience and maybe making this personal commitment to be a peer. And through you, you will model it for everyone around you. It will ripple out, and it's one small step toward that dream that we all have for inclusivity in our society. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Sure. So I got to come and do my first tour with RJ and went into the classroom that was actively making smoothies and or the juices. It was so, we could smell the good smells as we were walking down the hallway. It was just like, it was awesome. It was really fun to see that. and to hear about all of your peer cooking classes and all of it just, so many opportunities. And I feel like you have to do a cookbook, right? I mean, there's got to be a cookbook.
That would be a good one.
That's in the works, right? Like a juicing line, and then,
Secret is a knockoff, or is it a secret ingredients?
Yeah. So
Good one.
I'm excited to see what happens next. So thank you.
So many great comments already. I'll just try to add a few things. First of all, others have said it, but thank you so much for being such great hosts, as always. You are really special people. Thank you for inspiring us. These aren't difficult hires, right? These are very special people that you need to find that face really unique kind of challenges. Congratulations on meeting your common assessment goals. Congratulations on that. Other folks have talked about this, but I remember last year, Jen, I think you said, the opportunities for inclusion and integrating into the community was so important. And you went through several slides of things like, the peer links, unified sports and athletics that we've heard about, Thanksgiving feast and all these things, right? Connect Us. And I truly hope that those are on the rise, that those kinds of opportunities and abilities are really increasing. And I'll tell you, I think, we are at a point now where I feel, and I don't want to speak for everybody here, but I think I do. We have had tremendous success in a lot of areas, right? Academics for one, but hopefully you've heard us talk about and you've seen us present. And I'll think back to presentation last week. We are looking at the next frontier of what we want to focus on. And however you coin it, whether it's wellness, restorative practices, or making sure that people are healthy and safe, whether that's students and staff, especially staff who are facing really unique circumstances. I want to echo Ms. McIntyre's question. Tell us what you think you need, and don't be shy about it. My suspicion is that you're all very humble people and that you'll take whatever you can get from Wayne County and Northville or whoever it is, but please ask. And I would love a list of 10 things. These don't have to be things that are going to come true for sure. This is the wish list, and let's see if we can make any of these things happen. About peer links and the ability to others have talked about it, inspiring the next generation. We hear a lot about the teacher shortage that we're experiencing and that's on the horizon, and how difficult it is to hire folks that can serve this kind of need here in such a great way. But these kids, I saw this last night at the honors convocation. Some of these kids, they know right now because they have their scholarship sponsors, for lack of a better term, up there speaking about why they chose to give XYZ person a scholarship. And it was because they had made a decision after participating in something like Peer Links or Unified Athletics. And we saw a lot of those kids, and we've been really inspired when we've heard them at Hillside and at the high school. They're going into these fields. And we've talked about it. How do you get people, how do you get kids inspired to join this kind of workforce? And you're sort of doing it. How can we make this how can we get that flywheel going even more, right? Because it's there. These kids are inspired by what they see, and they want to take this and they want to make that their life. So I don't know, just more of that. The ask is, please tell us what we can do as a board, as individuals, as a school district. Tell us what we can do. I have RSVP'd to the graduation on the 14th at noon. I think the date to RSVP by is June 1, I want to say. It's in our invitation. please, I think let's make a good showing there. We've made a good showing at other things, so let's try to make it to the Cook graduation. And that's it. Thank you so much for being such great hosts. Yeah.
So Jen, we do have a new tradition kind of that we've started now that we're at Cook. I'm so happy we get to kind of finish it up here. So if I could ask every teacher, parent, student who is here, come on up. We're gonna do a big group picture. Come on. You're not shy. You just stood up at the podium and talked.
Come on, we do this at every school. You got to be part of it.
Sleepy. Sleepy kid on her shoulders. What about all these folks? Family, does it Cook family?
Can we RSVP right now?
Yeah.
I would like to RSVP.
Why wouldn't you
eventually.
just show
Thank you.
You don't have to really RSVP, just show up.
Thank you.
Amazing. Oh, well, I guess there's always that, isn't there?
I'm excited. Yeah.
All right, well, close the out. Close the out. Oh.
Close the gaps, yeah.
There you go.
Hang on.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Yeah, no, I hope I can come.
I'm usually loud and obnoxious, but it's fun.
There's nothing wrong about that.
Oh, God,
I gave Aaron a cowbell at the beginning of the year.
Should know. Should know. Should know.
All right, let's bring us back to our agenda. Thank you so much to the team at Cook and all our Cardinals. This brings us to the first of two opportunities for public comment. I do have two cards here. Just some ground rules. You see them up on the board there, but 3 minutes to speak on whatever topic you'd like to talk to us or address with us. And I would welcome to the microphone, I believe it's this one right here. Let's go with Jenna Mabry. You want to go second? That brings us to Rosemary Chudno.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I will be brief. My name is Rosemary Frenza Chudnoff, and on behalf of the Be Smart program and on my own behalf as a Northville Public Schools parent, I thank the board for considering the safe gun storage resolution that is on the agenda for tonight. We know that unsecured accidental gun deaths are a leading cause of death among children and that unsecured firearms play a major role in teen suicide. Also, more than 3/4 of school shooters use unsecured guns found in their homes. This resolution will provide education for parents about not only the importance of safe storage, but best practices for storage, how to comfortably ask other parents if they have guns in the home, and how to talk to their children about guns. We are very hopeful that Northville will join the long and quickly growing, I believe 22 as of today, list of school districts in Michigan that pass a safe storage resolution. Thank you again for your consideration.
Thank you. Jenna Mabry, that brings us to you.
Hello. Can I just say to the Cook staff, I am in complete awe. I'm just a parent in the district, and what you do is so incredible. It's very touching. For sure, I'm thinking of all the things. I'm on some committees, like how I can incorporate my kids and the kids I work with your kids, because we'd love to collaborate. It's amazing what you do. You really are, make the world a better place, truly. So thank you. Okay, thanks for making that, not counting against my 3 minutes. And someone stop me before the buzzer goes off. My name is Jenna Mabry, and I am not here about class sizes today. I want to thank you all on the board. You know, I respect all of you so much. Thank you for all your time and attention to the district. I appreciate you more than you will ever know. But today I am here to talk about one of my other passions, and that is a gun sense laws. I have 2 kids in the district, a daughter who is at Winchester Elementary and a son who is at OVS. The pervasive mental toll gun violence has taken on every single one of us is truly unbearable. As all parents do, I find myself wondering, does Winchester have bulletproof glass? Is it better that my daughter's classroom does not have a window so an intruder cannot get in? Or is it worse that she doesn't have a window because then she might not escape? I recently bought my daughter a smartwatch for her birthday, and I thought to myself, if she wears it in school and there's an active shooter incident, I will have to resist the urge to call her to see if she's alive, lest I give away her hiding spot. These mental exercises are frequent, exhausting, and terrible. This is why I hope you adopt the resolution on gun safety and gun safe storage. Providing a resource to the parents will not only be educational for parents, but will also begin the process of a culture to shift to normalize discussions of gun safety. For parents in particular, being able to routinely ask other parents if there are firearms in the house and how they are secured without it being a polarizing issue will reduce anxiety and create a greater sense of community. It is my hope that this will be the first step of many steps to create a safer environment for our children. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for please considering and adopting this resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Mabry. Any other public comments? Those are the cards that I have. Come on up. Nope, it's okay.
Hey,
Feel
you
free.
can fill
Yep.
it out afterwards, just go on up.
And I do have one more ask. I neglected to mention this initially. Maybe it's up there, but if you can, just give us 10 seconds on sort of your connection to the district.
Okay. Hi, my name is Alan Folks with Junior. I'm not of Northville district or anything. I'm actually homeschooled, and we're from Belleville, but we do have a relative who goes here, so we're here to speak on that. So we'll get started. Okay. First of all, so we're homeschooled. We stay with our dad all the times. You know, we do construction, everything. We do taekwondo, so we do that. Like, you know, he teaches us everything we know. Basically, we've been homeschooled for like 5 or 6 years. I'm here because I have a relative that goes to NHS, who black boy, you know, and he experiences a lot of I don't know how to explain discrimination or criticism or just things. He's came to me and the rest of my family saying that he's been called the N-word, or he hears it being thrown around, or he's asked for the N-word pass constantly, and it's like an everyday normal thing for him. Also, like, he's told he has to be a certain way because of, like, he looks different than everybody else in his school, because, you know, his being black, there's only like a few of them, a handful of them, right? And it's troubling because it travels all the way from Northville all the way to Belleville, you know, because he comes to our house. And it affects it. You know, it doesn't only affect him, but it affects us, because we have to, first of all, hear, you know, like the pain and struggle that he goes through, emotionally, mentally, and sometimes maybe physically, based off things he says. And, you know, we have to watch that. Me and my family knowing better, and like being aware of what goes on, being a black kid in schools, public schools. And we have to watch that, and there's not much we can really do except come to board meetings, right? Because we go to our city council every other Monday. So yeah, coming to board meetings is like kind of like the most we can do, because the parents of the kid, you know, doesn't know any better because they're in the system too, right? So it affects us emotionally too, and affects my dad too, because when he has to hear what he goes through, it kind of fills us up with an emotional feeling I can't describe right now. But I before I end, I want to see a change, because we can talk and talk, and there won't be a lot of change. You guys, us kids, we have to talk, because adults don't listen to adults most of the time, you know. So I want to see, we all want to see some changes, maybe signs to be aware of what happens with when kids are using the N-word and everything. And I don't want this just to be overlooked. You know, I want action, because if not, we're gonna have to keep coming back up here. Okay, but yeah, that's all the time I got. So, thank you.
Thank you. This is your first of two, like I said, opportunities for public comment. Anyone else in the audience?
My name is Anthony Folks. I'm the second oldest of those kids, and still here on behalf of my relative who goes to the NHS. And my brother did leave out. He said a lot, but he did forget one thing about that. Our relative, he's being failed by the school systems. Like, he's been in the Northville school system since preschool and elementary, middle school, and all that. But his education level is still at 5th grade. His math isn't good, even though he studies, he does all that. He has teachers, but they're not helping him right. He's not getting the attention he needs. They're giving him a good job for a C, saying, "Oh, you passed, good job." They're leaving it at that, and not helping him study and all that. But yeah, we want more help from him. Like my brother said, his parents aren't doing enough, so that's why we're here. But we had to come all the way from Belleville to miss church and our martial arts class today to come here to talk to you guys. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment, please?
Hi, my name is Angelica Folks, and I'm also here on behalf of my several relatives in Northville schools. And it's crazy how much like my relative has come to the teachers and asked them for help in subjects or stuff that's going on at home, and they just blow it off or something. And the public schools, also Northville mostly for my relatives, have had an influence on my relatives in a negative way, whereas they don't recognize their Black culture the right way, or they're not proud of who they are because the schools teach them, oh no, you can't be that way. Like my brother said, the N-word pass, being asked, oh, can I have this? Can I have the N-word pass? No, you can't. But that's going on, and it's not just in Northville. It's in a lot of different schools, and it's a big problem. And so we're just here to talk to you guys about that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Public comment is not over. This is feel free, coming up.
Hello, yeah. My name is Alex. I'm the second youngest of my family. I'm here also on behalf of my relative to say he's come to us multiple times over this. This isn't just a one-time thing that's happened. And me having to hear his stories, like whenever he comes over, he's telling me about stories, and it hurts me. Like, he's my blood, and my blood has to go through that. My relative, and I'm here with my family. I get to be with my family all day, and my dad and my siblings, and I don't have to go through that. And seeing him have to go through that is just, to me, it breaks my heart, because there's not many of us in you guys' community. And see, if there's two Black kids in a school and one's failing, that's a 50% rate of them failing. And there's 5 days a week of school, and 7 hours, if I'm correct. And if you take out lunch, that's 30 hours of study time. But when my cousin comes over, the way he vents to us about it, it seems like he tells us that he only gets about 5 hours of study time for what the teachers give him. And it's not his fault. He can't really do anything about it because his parents don't know any better because they're just sending him to school. And he's really struggling, and I just wish that he could stop struggling because he's really sad about it, and he really struggles with it. And I hope that seeing us here in this crowd makes a big difference and a big impact. And I hope you guys can accept that. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. My name's Alan Folks. I'm dad. I have two relatives in your school district. It has been heartbreaking watching them go through your school district. I fought for my children in the Ann Arbor public school system, and I followed the superintendent everywhere she went and bragged about Ann Arbor's diversity. And I asked, was it okay that that diversity came at the cost of the Black child's education? Then I moved to Ypsilanti. It was far worse. Then I pulled them out. And then I started paying attention to my niece and or nephews here. Jennifer Gramholm, the fact that she was from here, I was very proud that my family was here in this city. I said, you're gonna have the best of everything. And it's the worst. My niece, her disdain, her disgust for the texture of her hair, the color of her skin, it crushed me. It took everything in me to get her to break that. And when she broke it, she shaved her head. That's how she cracked it. She wrote a paper and shaved her head. And I had to deal with her mother and her father for that. I don't know what I said that triggered that. I still was very proud of her. Love your hair. You don't need dressings. I might have said too much because I know this is a public forum, but everybody doesn't have the fight that some of us have. I've heard things you all said that I wish I had a pen and paper. I could have written it down and said, the service to others, the helping the marginalized. The things you each said were the things I wanted to say back to help, to recruit for the cause, I think you said in your words. And all I can do is recruit for the cause. Everyone watches on TV, they polarize, they galvanize, they go to their sides, and our kids suffer. And what I walked away from Ann Arbor was, okay, you don't want to improve the education of the Black boy. You don't want to improve the treatment of him. How about the fact that you're producing 28 adults that think it's okay to treat a human like that when they look like that? So forget it. I won't try to help them anymore. Let's help the ones that don't look Black, because you're teaching them it's okay to treat other humans like this when they look like that, or they sound like that, or they have that accent. And that's kind of my message today for anybody that wants to polarize and say this isn't happening, it's not real. Forget that. If it could be real or could be true, and your child is in this school district watching this, what type of citizen will they be when they graduate if they didn't have to suffer, but they watched it? And my last comment in 5 seconds is, what will you do to protect our relative from drug usage in the schools the last few days?
Thank you so much for your comments to the folks family. I think I got the last name right. So a couple of things. Any other public comment? So before I close, I'll mention a couple other things. One, just sort of procedurally, just so you know, typically it's not always the case that we will respond on a point-by-point basis, or even at all sometimes, to public comments. I'll say at the highest level, this is a board that prides itself on listening and prides itself on giving a voice to everyone out there. And I'll steal your words there because I thought you put it really well. Everybody doesn't have the fight, and so I want to just say that, I sort of applaud your efforts for standing up here. It takes all of you. It's a very brave thing to get up and say anything in public sometimes, let alone something that touches you personally or that even hurts you. So I just wanted to say thank you for raising that with us. I will make a couple points here, and this is sort of going off playbook. We don't normally do this, but I just feel like it's right to talk about this a little bit. And I'll keep it to very high level. But we have a commitment to all in this district that we just reaffirmed, or I think we just built that into our vision and goals within the last 2 years. I want to say maybe, and it goes back a long ways, but we have just recommitted to our commitment to all, and I think we actually are planning to do that in the future again. And so this is something that we take seriously. So my final thought here, I guess, is I hope that you'll fill out one of the cards, and we'll figure out a way to reach back out to you, maybe get some more information. But I just want to say, I know it's hard to make public comment and to stand up and talk about something that touches you deeply and might even feel hurtful. And so I thank you for raising this with us to your whole family.
And representing for those you love in your life is the most important thing we can ever do. I think I looked at a quote today. Somebody gave me years ago, and it's really not what the people who are aggressive against us say. It's what the silence of our friends, family, and things of that nature that hurts more than anything else. So President Wilson, explain the fact that getting your contact information is important to us. And for you all to, 8:45, and you hung in there through a pretty long presentation to be here for somebody you love is an example, and a very good one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again. That closes our first opportunity of 2 for public comment, and that brings us to number 11 on our agenda. That is, as if on cue, our resolution in support of gun safety and safe gun storage. So I will hand it over to Dr. Campbell Voitel to present the motion, please, the resolution.
All right. I bring motion 108, that the Board of Ed adopt the resolution in support of gun safety and safe gun storage as presented in the resolution.
Support.
So I have a motion for a resolution properly presented by Dr. Campbell Voitel and supported by, I heard Ms. McIntyre among others, but I think I heard her first. Any discussion on our proposed resolution? I'll kick us off with just a few words. In my
Lindsay,
yeah.
Could you just talk about what the resolution is about? I got a couple of emails who, from the title of it, they're like, what exactly is the resolution? So I think it's probably worth a minute or two, just telling what it's about.
I will, and other board members feel free to chime in after. But from my perspective, this resolution was born, and others, and now that I'm sitting here, I know others can speak much more eloquently to this, but in my mind, this was born out of a couple of things, and probably most noteworthy and what tipped it off, I think, here and hit home was what we saw happen at Michigan State University 2-3 months ago. I forget the date of that, but we had some long conversation about what happened at Michigan State, and this is after a long history of things that have happened all over the country, including just north of us in Oxford. The legislature did take, or the governor, I should say, did take a step in mid-April, I want to say, around gun safety and storage. And we are joining a number of other, I think, school boards and entities that are going forward with resolutions like this. And so I won't read through all of this resolution unless folks think it's necessary, but I will just touch on some of the whereas clauses in this, this resolution, which is why we feel the way we do and why we're proposing this resolution. And, it starts with, like I said, the state of Michigan very recently resolved to undertake universal background checks on all firearms and has instituted certain safe storage requirements. We've heard this from parents and other stakeholders across the district. The safety and security of our students, teachers, and staff is paramount. That's another sort of very high quality factor, big important piece for us. As we've heard some of our public comments tonight, laid out some staggering statistics around how important gun safety and storage is. Gun violence is the second leading cause of death in children and in teens. That's something that we're hoping to prevent and minimize and reduce. Evidence strongly suggests that secure firearm storage is an essential component to any effective strategy to keep our community safe. Like I've said already, but we'll say again, keeping students, teachers, and staff safe from the threat of gun violence should be the responsibility of all adult stakeholders within our district, and we've heard from a number of our stakeholders that this is in fact very important to them. And so we are going to undertake a number of measures to increase student and school safety. And that's what's laid out in sort of the resolution here. And I think well, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. You looked at me, so I just.
Oh, I thought you, okay.
And then President Wilson, I know we have Ms. Meyer, Ms. Stewart, we're on policy as well. And it's something that I know that they engaged in a ton of discussion around, and perhaps is also Ms. Peck, if there's additional information or things needed on it. Maybe that would help, as well as the question that Trustee Mazurka.
Well, I think that President Wilson really well underlined the whereas as to the why of doing this. I just wanted to highlight, born out of our conversation, that as part of the committee, is that we are still very deeply committed to working with law enforcement in all the township and city of Novi and the city of Northville, as well as the mental health agencies that we are so privileged to work with in our district, and that this resolution, reinstates that and how important those partnerships are with those different entities, as well as giving us the opportunity to communicate with caretakers, parents, and guardians within our district about safe storage. And as was spoken to earlier, normalizing that conversation surrounding storage. And it gives us an opportunity, if there are events or information that we can share with our families within the district.
So just to add a comment in support of what you just said, Karen, it really, I think, the be it further resolved statements is the ways that we demonstrate a commitment to advocate actively for this in a continuing way through the ways that you just mentioned, and strategic partnerships, but also on our website, letters home to parents, reinforcement at regular intervals that we're fully in, that this isn't just a one-off, and that it will be a continuing message that we amplify to change the culture, as you so well put it, Karen. So I just wanted to say we're in.
I think the timing of this is really great, because June is actually National Gun Violence Awareness Month. So I think moving into June, just amazingly next week, the timing of this is really good. And it's really about being able to facilitate conversations and help educate our community also. And like Karen said, being able to strengthen those partnerships that we already have with our community. So,
and I see it as a part of a broader picture. Our staff and students live with this every day. And so this to me is a further demonstration of showing that we're doing all we can to support them. And I know that this can have a physical manifestation, but I also think that mentally as well, letting them know that we hear them and we want to do all we can to make them feel safer as much as we can.
So I'd like to just read 3 pieces of this because it's really about what we're asking the district to do. And that's probably what people in the audience and maybe watching this care about. And I'll say that be it further resolved that the board directs the superintendent and staff to update our district website in consultation with law enforcement to include information about secure storage of firearms. That the board directs the superintendent to create an appropriate letter to parents and guardians that explains the importance of secure gun storage to protect minors from accessing irresponsible stored guns to be included in the district website. It further that the board directs the superintendent to periodically, so another to your point about this is not a one-time, communicate the importance of safe firearm storage and other firearm safety and violence prevention measures to the district during Gun Violence Awareness Month and at other appropriate times, and that this resolution shall not be construed to conflict with any existing Michigan or federal laws. So again, this is a communication about we want to reinforce to parents the importance of gun safety, what you should be doing, and we hope that the communication takes risks out of our district. That's my words. And so I just wanted to read those 3 statements so the public knew what exactly the ask was.
There is one sort of resolution paragraph or statement before that's also included. Be it resolved also that the board and superintendent will continue to work with local law enforcement agencies, medical and mental health agencies, and nonprofit organizations to collaborate and increase efforts to inform district parents of their obligations regarding secure storage of firearms in their homes, as well as other gun violence prevention safety measures.
Yep.
The other part I would add too is that we were so fortunate to have such community support around the bond. And there were so many conversations that centered around how about school safety? How about school safety? So we really are asking the community also to partner with the school district to continue to, pay attention to the messages that we're sharing and our wonderful communication team with gun safety and violence prevention. And so I think the timing also works well that it's a month after we were fortunate enough to get the support from the community on the bond.
Okay.
Melissa, you good?
Well, I think during our public comment also, it was brought up that we're not blazing a new trail here. There are 22 other districts, other school boards have already committed to similar resolutions. So we're just, yeah.
Thank you, yeah. Do we need a roll call on this one? We don't.
No, doesn't have to be
All
a
right.
roll call, just a formal vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. So the resolution passes. Thank you so much. Excellent discussion on that. And thank you to our public comment as well for their commentary on that issue. That brings us to number 11 on our agenda, our 2023-24 Wayne Risa budget. And I will hand it over to our, oh. Any opposition to that?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
We're on TV, so that's all right.
Sure.
Yeah, we're
Yes.
we're already on TV.
We're
You can
okay.
you can actually just grab it from YouTube, but
No.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. No.
Should we just?
Come on in, Bruce.
We get up? I'll go stand.
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
No need to apologize. That's good.
Standerson.
Well, I'm just, so we're so spread out.
Thank you so much. So sorry to interrupt.
Thank you. That was good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you, Rosemary.
Right, into the budget. There you go.
Okay, ready for the next Ready to move on?
All right, I'll hand it over to our treasurer.
All right, I'd like to bring forth motion 109, that the board adopt the resolution in support of the 23-24 Wayne RESA budget as presented.
So I have a motion properly presented by Ms. McIntyre, our treasurer, and supported by Dr. Campbell Voitel. Any discussion or?
Yeah, Mike, do you want to?
The main issues, but in the past, there's been some concern among the board about the use of their general fund, but as you can see in this budget submission, they have, I think, the plan brought out. They try very hard to provide as much support to the LEAs, districts. I think this budget reflects that. So I would support the budget as presented.
Man, I don't see any real issues, and I'll just talk because I was around when we were a pain in the side of Wayne RESA about 6 or 8 years ago. We really took them to the woodshed about their budget and questioned a lot of things just because we saw their fund balance getting unusually low, right? And if their fund balance goes negative, what happens is they then come back to school districts and we would have to reverse fund them, right? So that's why it's an issue. That's why we're so sensitive to it. And so, I agree with Mike. They answered the questions that they basically try to go break even. I think just for board recognition for the future, pay attention to those fund balances as they get lower and lower. Again, if indeed they go negative, what happens is then they will be basically asking school districts to give back to them. You know how difficult money is right now. So I don't see that as an issue this year, but it is something that we should pay attention to their fund balances. I think they went from 18 million down to 16 million. So they had a couple of years in a row of kind of getting lower. I think it's still a safe amount. What I am worried about for them is the budget cliff of 2025 where all of the one-time monies kind of disappear. And so I think we're okay, in my opinion now, but it's something that as you see these budgets in the future, pay close attention to that, right? So that's my only point I will raise.
Good commentary.
I just have probably a side comment, and maybe Mike, you know about this. Is there some discussion going on in Lansing about allowing the regional educational associations to collaborate economically or to pool funding to strengthen each other through? Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, there is, I know some, and I can't remember whether the House or the Senate, there is some funding that's being proposed. Whether it actually materializes in the school aid bill or not, I'm not sure, but really what it is, it's talking about consolidations
Right.
and things like that. Really also not so much district consolidations or eliminations, but it's more like shared services types of consolidations. And it's really in certain areas. Finance, they're trying to encourage that. Human resources is another administrative area that they're trying to encourage that. So, but again, I don't know if how it's gonna actually show up in the school aid bill.
Right. The way I read it, I thought it was at the regional level, not the district level.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Which might be an interesting kind of variation on what we're looking at in terms of budgeting going forward. Who knows?
And it's just a watch point to look for the future. I don't see anything in this budget that scares me today, but again, their fund balance, their general fund balance dropped from like 20 million to 18 million, and then they're projecting down to 16 million. Okay. But again, we all know there's a lot of one-time funding from the federal and state that disappears. So the next 2 years, we should just scrutinize it a little bit closer.
Yeah, this year it seemed like everything was pretty safe, but.
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate that because the historical perspective, because as I was reading it, I was wondering about that. Is that something that's happening, that they're spending down that?
To some credit, we were a district that refused to sign off on it, and they came talk to us, and it actually started a good process because before they weren't always giving us these Q&As, so now they're include this Q&A piece in there automatically, or FAQs if you want to call it, right? And I would say we're probably one of the pain in the ass districts that caused them to pay more attention and be a little more clear about their situation. So
One of the things I just wanted to mention too, Risa, this year in November, they actually, when Dr. Weber first came, actually it was in the summer, he and I had a discussion with, at the time, the deputy superintendent, talking about some additional funding for this building. Because as many of the improvements we made with Bond 2017, this building has some additional needs. And basically what they were able to do, they gave us in November $872,000 toward this building in particular. So I think they recognize the need, and I think they're trying to be judicious in how they're managing their funds. And again,
it's kind of always been a challenge, right? We support the entire county with support, yet in a lot of cases, we're funding the upkeep of this building through our own, funds of Northville residents. And you go, there needs to be some kind of balance there. And so I agree, Mike, that was a good thing for them to step up and say, like, yeah, we need to contribute a little bit more towards the building.
Excellent commentary. I appreciate it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the motion passes. Thank you so much for that. That brings us to number 12 on our agenda. That would be our Wayne Risa Board of Education election representative, and I will hand it over to Ms. Meyer.
Okay, so I'm not really quite sure what I'm supposed to do here. Am I saying that we support the budget, so that I will be presenting this on June 5th at 6 p.m. to Wayne Risa? So, okay, so I need to bring, all right, thank you. This is why they set me by you. I'm bringing forth motion 110 by,
Nope, just that the board approved.
that the board approve the resolution designating Northville Board of Education's election representative, myself, and I don't think we have, and Ms. Stewart, in addition to authorizing a vote cast for the Wayne Risa Board candidates listed below at the Wayne Risa Board election on June 5th, 2023 at 6 p.m. as presented. Thank you.
Support.
This motion's made by,
You don't have to read
You have to do that
oh,
part.
I'll do that part. Okay,
Excellent.
all right.
Was that the first time on that?
Yeah.
So I have a motion properly presented by Ms. Meyer, supported by Mr. Mazurik. Any discussion on this? Further discussion?
Now, we talked about this in committee of the whole. We identified the two candidates who are going, so I think we're safe.
All right, this requires a roll call, so
Oh, I knew there was a roll call. Okay. Mr. Wilson,
yes.
Ms. Stewart,
Yes.
Ms. Meyer,
Yes.
Mr. Mazurik,
Yes.
Ms. McIntyre,
Yes.
and Campbell Vital, yes.
Thank you so much. That motion passes. That brings us to number 13 on our agenda. That is our fiscal year 2023 April budget amendment. And I will once again hand it over to our esteemed treasurer, Ms. McIntyre.
All right, I'd like to bring forth motion 111 that the board approve the fiscal year 23 budget amendment as presented.
Support.
So we talked about this in our finance subcommittee, and really so glad that we can make this amendment, that we have an increase in students than was projected initially. So Mike, if you'll tell us all the good news, that would be awesome.
Sure, thank you, Lisa. I think what I'll do is just, I know there's, I think there's 15 slides in here, so I'm just going to, I think, just cover some of the main points. And this slide is the kind of the key takeaways from where we are. The foundation allowance, again, thinking back to the budget that we approved for this year last June, we actually budgeted $9,100. We got an extra $50. So we're actually up a little bit on the foundation allowance. The big news, I think, is in enrollment, in reference. We had actually budgeted a decline of 60 FTE for this year, and we're actually up 30 from last year. So that's certainly some good news there. The one tick point of it I wanted to mention, one-time funding. In the school aid bill this year, there's $1 billion that was a one-time infusion into the MIPSR system. Our portion of that is about $5.3 million. So it's money coming in, but we send it right back to Lansing. So it's just kind of a pass-through. But it's about $5.3 million to help fund the MIPSR system. The one thing that I think we do have to keep our eye on this year in this budget, we have basically about $4 million of one-time money that's in here. And that's the combination of ESSER 1, 2, 3, Section 11T, and 98C. So that's quite a bit of money that's in here. And we know that fiscal cliff is kind of around the corner, but something we're just going to have to manage around. The mental health grant, we did not get that this year. We did apply. We got it last year. Hopefully we'll get it next year. Wages and salaries. One of the good things as a result really of the increase in enrollment versus budget, we were able to kind of pull together with the assistance of HR and basically an added bonus that we were able to pay to all of our staff in April, about $430,000, kind of giving back some of that good news that we got with the higher enrollment and the higher foundation allowance. Capital outlay, this budget has a reduction for some technology purchases. I wasn't quite sure whether we needed to spend some money in technology. We were going to spend some money out of the sinking fund, but we didn't. Turns out so I just thought I would budget some additional money in case we needed something. And then so at the end result really is that last June, while we were looking at an operating deficit of about $3.7 million, we're right now probably around
Amazing.
So,
Yes.
certainly some improvement, and we'll keep an eye on it. Probably what will happen in the month of June, we'll come back with kind of a final budget for this year, just probably some tweaks, but I wanted to get the big jump in with this particular budget. So let's see. This is just there's a slide in there. I'm not going to go through it. This is just the one-time revenue, how it's broken out, the $4 million. The state funding assumptions, you can see a lot of that string of categorical funding this year. We got a lot of categorical funding, and two big grants that we received, the per pupil safety grant, which was $833,000, and the per pupil mental health grant, which is another $823,000. And this year, we have till September of 2024 to spend that, both of those grants. So this year, we've made some plans. We know we've got some things in the works on how we're going to spend some of those monies. So very limited amount actually is going to get spent by June 30th. But so we're going to roll over most of that grant, but we've got some good plans of how we want to use those monies. That's just the blended enrollment. That slides in your deck too. This is our FTE. The far right is the fall 2022. That's what we get budgeted on. And that's just kind of the trend. You can see we're up where we were from last year. The revenue changes, there's a string of revenue changes since last June. One of the ones that, I talked about the foundation allowance and the blended enrollment being higher. That's really improved our revenue by about $1.1 million. That's the first two line items there. The other line item, kind of behind the scenes, but we all see this every day, is that our interest earnings on our fund balance were up, and this is really conservative. I'm sure when we come back, it's going to be even more than this. We're up $560,000. And it's really what it is that the Fed has made their quarterly adjustments in their federal funds rate, and our interest earnings on that fund balance has grown quite a bit this year compared to what it was last year. Expenditure-wise, that's kind of just kind of talked about what's the major items there. Purchase services, supplies, the non-personnel areas are pretty constant. You can kind of see the one other item there about, it's got a little footnote, the media center books, the culturally responsive library books, those we had in this year's budget. And I know the committee is looking at that and working on it with Aaron, but we're not going to actually spend it by June 30th. So that's going to actually be deferred out of this year's budget. And really, so the summary, there's the what we're looking at right now for the operating deficit, much better than where we were last June. And this slide is just taking that same information and breaking it out by function. And then this last slide is just kind of breaking it out, shows on a percentage basis out of our every dollar of revenue. In other words, you know, what we spend on salaries and wages, benefits, and then non-personnel expenditures. So just some good historical information there. I know today we had our ratings call with Dr. Weber and myself, and one of the questions they asked is, how are you able to kind of sustain your fund balance, you know, over the last 5 years or so? And one of the reasons I think what we were able to cite is that we've been able to, I think, work with our EA and had some very collaborative type of negotiations, and I think that's been reflective. You can see our labor costs are not out of line at all, and so I think they took that as some good positive feedback. And that is it. I don't know, I know there's a lot of information there. I just kind of glossed on. I know it's late, so, but if you have any questions, if you want to.
So I'd like to thank you, Mike, on the ratings call today. You taught me a ton. For those in the community, thank you for passing the bond. But really what it was is with a fine tooth comb, Mike and I were interviewed by a representative from Standard & Poor's. They'd sent some questions ahead of time and then asked some as we flowed into it. And what they were really doing is they were going to establish a credit rating. I did take umbrage with Mike and his financial industry in the sense that why does it have to be A minus, A, AAA? Can't we just go with like one A and an A plus and A minus for those of us not in the industry to understand what it all means? So we'll get a dispensation on that. When did she say she would have that report back to us? Was it next week?
Next week we should have a report back.
But really, it was for me, it was a great history lesson to understand some of the tactical moves made by the board and our EAs and, you know, Mary Kay, Dave, the team that sits in front of me here, to understand past boards, the mechanisms, the triggers, and so on. But it was really fascinating to have her ask us these questions about schools of choice, home values, on and on. I mean, they checked everything out. And my hope is, I mean, you know better than I do, but I believe we're going to come back with a very favorable dispensation from them. And thank you as well for, you know, listening to you today talk about our budgeting and say, you know, more conservative on my end of it. But I'd much rather have a happy surprise than a unhappy surprise. I think that's all of us.
No, I think, you know, we spent a lot of time in finance subcommittee talking about this. You know, some great news is, you know, we all know that, you know, the trend has been for student numbers to go down, right? And we were predicting it. If you look around the state of Michigan, there is a negative trend, right? The number of students. So we have actually picked up some students. And that makes life a whole lot easier when you're growing students. Right? Doesn't have to be a lot, but as long as the trend is positive, it's a very good thing. And there's a lot of districts who can't say that. So we are bucking a trend a little bit, right? That's a great thing. The other thing is, you know, we did take what was almost a $4 million deficit down to 400,000. Great news, but again, what we talked about with Wayne Resa, the same thing. There's a bunch of one-time funding to almost $4 million that's going to disappear. And luckily, one of the things that Mike and the team has done is to try to use that one-time funding for, or that temporary funding for one-time things as opposed to building it into the base budget. And there are a lot of districts who built that spending into base budget, and when that funding goes away, there's going to be a whole lot of hurt. So that's something that we also are going to have to pay attention to over this next year and a half, 2 years, is how we manage the transition from that one-time funding going away and how we kind of can continue forward in that. A few other benefits coming through. I mean, interest rates and making money on the money you have is a pleasant surprise. We haven't done that a whole lot, in the past. So that's a good thing, and we'll always look forward to that. This is really, it's a great story where we're at. I actually found a speech that we made when Old Village School opened in 2017. We did the kickoff on it, and I was reading some statistics about where we're at. We're at 2.3% fund balance back then, which is, it's just scary thinking about how bad we were, and that, the way the state funds our money, we don't get paid, every month. They don't like, oh, well, every month you get, funding come in. They do these unusual long periods. And so there were periods of time from September to about October where we didn't have enough money in our, quote, checking account to pay our employees or pay all the funds. And so we literally had to go and borrow money from the state to fund that, recognizing that they would eventually give us our paycheck, so to speak, and we could refund that. But, that's the kind of situation we're in. We were actually paying interest to the state to be able to get money to pay our monthly, bills, which are what, $3-4 million on a typical basis. And so that's how dire the situation has in the past. We laid off 50 some teachers. It was horrific, right? The position we're in now is so much better, and that's great. I don't know how the Standard & Poor's is going to rate us, but there was a point in time about 5 years ago that we actually had a better rating than the state of Michigan, which meant that Northville could borrow money cheaper than the state of Michigan could. Didn't last for very long, but it's really, a pat on the back for how Mike and the team have managed the money and kept us in standing to be able to deliver on the education we have. So, but it's a thing that you have to be constantly vigilant on. And so, again, our watch points over the next 18 months or so is how we manage that disappearance of one-time funding. I expect the states, the final number from the state, well, we're not going to get it till June, maybe July. It always takes longer than we want, but it'll be a $400 and some figure, which will be another great news. Next year, probably not going to be so good. And so, that's where we really have to manage the future and just watch these things. But right now, great news. Mike, thank you very much for being conservative and kind of keeping us out of trouble, because that's really what you have to do is kind of budget conservatively. And we got a couple of surprises. We still lost money, but a whole lot less than we thought we were going to do. So thank you.
I wanted to highlight too that our spending on student instruction is 77.4%. I think maybe that's already been discussed, but I think that is a really important figure for us just to really stay centered on, so much of our money actually goes to teaching students. Yeah. There's not a lot of, extra fluff. That's not the best term, but like you said, it is late. But 77.4% is pretty phenomenal. I also really like seeing in our expenditures, we've done a lot of great things for our staff. During these really difficult times, we've implemented the fitness, wellness programming, the really great EAP. So we've been able to do all of these great things and continue and be in a much more favorable position than we thought we would be.
Right. Well, we've had the blessing of being able to actualize what our values are here, and that is to hire and retain excellent teachers. And so going forward, Jim, you've set the table. We know what's coming along, but I can remember the question when I was sitting here a year ago, actually, Jim, you asked the question, so if you're on the board, and you have a, budget crunch, just where would you cut? I remember that question. I think about it a lot. And going forward, I'll continue to think a lot about it, but just to communicate clearly our commitment to the instructional the instructional obligation that we have as a board and as a district, but also to take care of and protect and retain our excellent teachers. So thank you for all of your good budget management.
We are
Well,
very
if-
lucky.
If Aaron can keep bringing in the grant money, we won't have to worry about that.
I'll just add a couple points. I know it's late, but I also want to say, I really appreciate these budget amendments. I love the key takeaways. I love the robustness and just sort of the frank dialogue that you and the team always bring to it. Hats off to the finance subcommittee. I really actually miss being on that subcommittee. It's a great little committee. Enrollment, in communications subcommittee, I've always said, I want to pick up 50 students. So I want to be able to do it. Maybe that's a question for the next agenda. Can we check that box? Can we use that as evidence that we check that box on the 50 students, at least as a goal in my head? That's just a question I'll put out into the universe. The mental health grant, I mean, this is not accusatory. I'm just kind of curious, like why, we got it last year. What do you think they're like? What do you think they're looking for? Whoever's the grant. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because we're the only district who got it for 3 years.
Yeah.
Because we're the only ones who wanted to go to New York, and so they gave it to us way more than we had come.
Yeah.
And so this year was kind of like, I'm gonna share the wealth. So
Fair enough.
we're hoping it comes back. But
Yeah.
got it for 3 years, which was 2 years more than we promised.
It's awesome.
And I think that one-time funding, watching that fall off, is just continuing to be mindful of that. In your mind, I guess here's a question. In your mind, I remember when I first joined the board, it was sort of the financial cliff or financial situation that we're facing. Is it largely attributable to this money dropping off, or are there other dynamics? I mean,
Well, I mean,
enrollment is a right.
Well, I can say another watch point that we have happened last week in Michigan. So 4 months ago, consensus revenue, we're actually down about $1 billion from what Michigan projected just 4 months ago. And that really the professional from Standard & Poor's helped educate us and attribute that. That was to some previously legislated tax cuts that were put in, that kicked in. So the revenue went down because of that, and we'll see if those who believe in trickle-down supply-side economics, if it actually comes back to us or not. But we're down on that, and so that's what we talked about a little bit today, Michael. And then I think what we've already talked about, the ESSER monies, are really the cliff that, thank goodness, that this team was prudent. Otherwise, I think our colleagues in other districts, I think it's going to be really hard to see what people go through. Even though they made it their own decision, kids are still the ones that are affected. And that's the bottom line for all of us.
All right, I didn't get a chance to say this before we got into discussion, but I have a motion properly presented by Ms. McIntyre and supported by Mr. Mazurek. We've had discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, that passes. Thank you so much. That brings us to number 14 on our agenda, professional services, PA system design. Again, I will hand it over to Ms. McIntyre.
Okay. I'd like to bring forth motion 112 that the board award a professional services contract to Plant Moran for design, bid preparation, and project management of an upgraded PA system for every building except Hillside Middle School for an amount totaling $28,000, funded through the per pupil safety grant, section 97, as presented.
Support. So I have a motion properly presented by Ms. McIntyre and supported by Mr. Mazurek. Any discussion on this necessary?
We talked about this also in finance subcommittee, and Andrew, if you want to tell us why this is important, that'd be good.
We're just upgrading and consolidating to one unified PA system throughout the district. We're adding more features like strobes in the noisy areas, better speakers in the outside of the buildings, and pretty much just getting everything like up to the latest technology that's out there. We're not doing Hillside because that was obviously just installed recently.
Yep.
I'd like to make just a personal comment about this as someone who has previously worked in one of our elementary schools in the lunchroom. This is a much needed upgrade. It can't come soon enough. So this is awesome.
Well, I'm hearing about the consistency of, people going from one building to another, and everything will just be much more user-friendly. There will be training involved. So yeah, I hope that there's the chance for people to play music like they do at Hillside, and
Yeah.
just the programming capabilities, and it seems like kind of a no-brainer, so.
And the great thing, it comes from a grant. We don't have to dip in the general fund. So thank you.
Yep.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you so much. That brings us to number 15, added agenda items. Ms. Irving, Dr. Weber, do we have any?
Sir.
Board members? All right. That takes us to our second of two opportunities for public comment. Agenda item number 16, do we have anyone that would like to make public comment? Going once, going twice? That concludes public comment, and that brings us to number 17, questions, comments from board members.
Just one comment. I will be out of town the week of the 11th. So I will miss the Cook graduation, which actually is one of the things Kim knows I love Cook graduation, but I will really regret that. So I promised I would twist as many arms as I had to get a few of you to attend. It's a great event. Just participate. And let's see, Parks and Rec meets tomorrow, and we're formally going to approve the new Parks and Rec director, which I can't remember his name off the top of my head at this late point of night. It went dead on me. So that's kind of the only updates.
Anyone else?
Oh, well, I just really something that I've been, had in my mind a lot lately in this big senior graduation week. We're a district that prides ourselves on we have so many amazing, wonderful things that happen here, but I just really wanted to recognize those students that maybe had to really just find it deep inside themselves to make it through. Those kids that wanted to throw the alarm clock against the wall and just didn't want to do it another day, and they made it. And I just really, we don't have another board meeting before graduation, and afterwards we have a committee of the whole. So I just really wanted to recognize those students that maybe had to go that extra mile to make themselves get there. And I wanted to give a shout out to their parents too. High school, when you're in it, it seems like it's such a large part of your life, your story, but really it's just a blip. And I'm just glad that we got to be a part of it. So congratulations to all of them.
Yeah.
Sure.
The only thing I'll note is that somewhere in our packets or our materials, there are pretty good instructions and tips on graduation day where we meet. I forget where it is. It's in there somewhere. I've seen it. The Friday update, that's where it is. So pay attention to that. And this is our last meeting before graduation, right, on June 4th?
Yeah, no meeting next week, right? Do you have the banner from?
I do have the banner.
Okay, for the car parade.
Let's talk about that because I'll be in a car.
Yep, I will also.
So I'll have to hand that off to somebody.
Yeah, who's going to the car parade then?
I will be at the.
I will, yes, yeah.
I'll be at the car parade.
My cowbell's ready.
So yeah, we can.
We'll have to coordinate on that, yeah. Are we thinking same spot-ish?
Seems like that was easy enough for people to meet at.
Yeah? Okay.
We'll have to share that. We'll give that to you, Megan.
In cars, when will we be able to gather you up for, a combined picture?
It might be booted out of the car. Who knows? My daughter might be going with her own friend.
Oh, yeah.
Photobomb?
Yeah, sure.
The group?
We'll have to figure that out, yeah.
Yeah, but we can find it.
All right, I have seen the banner in my garage, so it has been spotted. Elvis is in the building, so. Any other questions, comments? All right, I will call us adjourned at 9:38 PM.
Thank you.
Remember.